right, welcome to this game. This will be Pat from Across the Bifrost against Artdieart. Mm, it's a pretty good game overall. It's actually very interesting game to watch. A lot of really interesting plays you can see come on, and almost a really cool comeback that comes across. At this point in the league, before this game was played, Pat is completely undefeated with the Season 2 league, and Art isn't that far behind. I don't think he lost that many games. The commentary will be by myself, Jacob from Xavier Protocols, and Gronco. So hope you enjoy and have a good day. Thanks for stopping by the channel as well, and just watching these videos. They're a lot of fun to do for the commentary and all that. So I'll stop talking and let you watch.
Fantastic. It's interesting, this crisis combination, because the Wakanda and herbs are very likely not to be scored until late in the game. But you're going to get to late in the game because the meteors, the scoring is so slow. 4 turns, you're still only going to score 12 points. 5 turns, you still only score 15 if you're not scoring the herb. So it's quite likely this is going to go either to a KO or a 6-turn game just by looking at that combination of crises.
Oh, absolutely.
Hopefully they're factoring their team building when they're thinking about it, and either going for a very durable team that can get to turn 6 without being KO'd, or a hyper aggressive team that's going to actually, in this, a complete KO is a very real possibility in this game.
Yeah, I'm expecting. I get a feeling that Pat is going to do a hyper aggressive, high damage team. That's kind of what I'm looking for. Again, I haven't seen Art play too much, or Pat for that matter, but like when you think Cabal,
my
you think high damage.
Yeah. True, but when I think Pat, I think he plays to the crisis. Is what I've always seen with him. He doesn't want to win with a KO. He wants to win on points.
Okay.
So he doesn't love, as far as I've heard, especially on the podcast, he doesn't love investing a whole load of resources in trying to score a herb. So I'm not expecting a turn 1, turn 2 herb play from Pat. I think that would be very out of character for him if he did that.
So are you expecting more of a slow build up to get the herb? Don't rush to get just basically a bunch of conservative safe playing.
I think he'll be trying to score the meteors. Will be his primary concern, and then targeted damage. And I think that's a sound play. And I think again he might focus on 2 meteors in particular, and be able to run to the 3rd, but focusing his fire on choosing his targets. But having that center ground that the herb runner would have to go through, I think that's going to be a difficult, especially on this crisis. Sometimes you can have herbs with something like Infinity Formula or the Extremists, that map layout. There's not a lot of people tend to be right in the middle of the board for those 2, because you've got the corridors of attacking and the middle tends to be empty. Here, because you've got that central meteor, there's going to be more people in the center. It's going to make it even harder to score those herbs by running someone through the center.
Yeah, for the chat, I have Pat and Art turned down because we want to be able to hear them a little bit so we can kind of know what's going on, but we don't want to be like conflicting and having like 4 people talking at the same time essentially. So they're more or less voices are there just so we can hear what's going on. Oh, Pat is that? No, that's Art. I was about to say Pat is playing Avengers. Okay.
No,
so
he's not.
So just real quick before we go over their list, I turned the Discord volume up a little bit, and I turned my mic volume a little bit, so hopefully that helps. If it's still a little too quiet, let me know, and I'll turn it up a little bit more. So anyway, so we got Pat running Red Skull, MODOK, Thor, and Zemo.
I've been seeing a lot of this list in Season 2, and I think it's a really good list. It's kind of a variant on that double-barrel shotgun, where you can have Skull and Zemo working together. Skull and MODOK working together, and Thor and Zemo working together. One of Thor's big problems is he's liable to variation in dice, and Zemo bringing the rerolls can really help with that. Just even that one reroll that he hands out. Yeah, is a nice one. Can we have a look at the tactics cards? Can you zoom in on those and see if we can see what those
Yeah.
are?
So Pat has Cosmic, Drop Off, Med Pack, Field Dressing, and Brace. To me, it's pretty common list of tactics cards for Cabal. You got your Cosmic in there for some fun plays. Drop Off because he's got Thor in there. Who the Drop Off target going to be is probably going to be Zemo, from my guess.
Yeah, I think Zemo's a drop off target.
And then Med Pack, Field Dressing, and Brace, which, your typical defensive cards. Something I've been seeing a lot as far as like the UK meta versus US meta is I've seen the last 3 games I watched that had Modok in them. The person ran patch up, field dressing, and med pack to get the most heals possible. And it worked out really well for them. It was rather interesting.
Having said that, I don't expect Pat to be running a turn 2 Herb play.
Absolutely. I don't think so either.
I don't think so, but I think that could be one of the things he's got in his toolbox with drop off.
I think if from what you're saying about Pat, I think what his plan might be is a slow crawl to the herbs and then using the drop off to get back to score.
I can see that. So looking at Art's team, we've got Captain America, Thor, Loki, and Black Panther. Those are some just really great characters. It's just a whole bunch of really good characters. I think Loki is fantastic. I think Loki, he'll be looking at trying to get Loki, either he'll task him with going into MODOK with I Am a God, meaning that if he gets his blanks wilds turned to blanks, it still count, or potentially trying to neutralize Thor. Now it's interesting, we saw that Art deployed his Thor first, and Pat has deployed his Thor opposite Art. Now we know that Art's got priority, which means that Pat might be thinking he's going to hold his Thor till last, and potentially look at using his Thor to try and counter Art's Thor. Now I'd expect that more actually the other way around, because his Pat's Thor won't be able to for Asgard on turn 1. He hasn't got R&D and he hasn't got the Avengers leadership bonus. So I'm not sure. That's an interesting deployment. I'd be interested to hear why he was thinking that. Sorry, do you want to run through Art's tactics cards?
Yep. So for Art, you're fine. You're very knowledgeable. And I think you're the most knowledgeable of these 2 players out of the commentators. So we got Drop Off, Med Pack, Sibling Rivalry, Brace for Impact, and Avengers Assemble. So no real big surprises there.
No. Agreed. I didn't know if any of them had them in their roster, but mission objective is a real, I'm going to try and score the herb if you take that card on this. Looking at the teams, Black Panther is the most likely herb runner for Art, and I'd say Zemo is the most likely herb runner for Pat, simply because they're long movers. And if you look, it looks like he's deployed his Panther opposite the herb, and you can see Zemo has also gone opposite the herb. So they've deployed, giving them that option if they need it.
Absolutely.
Now, MODOK's positioning, I think, is really interesting because he can threaten either meteor. That positioning in the middle, I really like positioning there when you're deploying meteors, because you're not committing to either of them. With 2 shorts and that large base, I think MODOK should be able to reach either of them from where he is, and especially when you factor in Red Skull's extra placement of 2.
Oh, absolutely. I'm really curious to see if he's going to commit MODOK to flank hard on one side or if he's going to go right for the middle. I also want to say welcome, Grant. I don't know if you've tried talking yet.
No, I'm just now actually sitting down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw you join earlier. I was like, I don't know if you're something going on, but wanted to make sure we welcome you to the channel.
So what you're seeing now is you're seeing Art using lots of range 2 and range 4 to just see what MODOK might be up to. Range 4, he's looking at his bow range. Are you in range of bow sort of MODOK? And also all of his attacks are range 4. So what he doesn't want to do is advance up and give MODOK 2 attacks. That's why he's just putting in that range 4 and having a look. The range 2, I think what he's doing there is looking at where might MODOK end up after Red Skull has bumped him forward.
So it looks like
what he might...
Oh, go ahead.
What he might do here is Black Panther's only got 1 power to start with, so he's got a choice of, is he going to interact with the meteor or with the herb? And what I could see him doing is he looks like he's placing within trying to get within one of the meteor, but he could just go and pick up the herb, not necessarily to score it, but that herb gives you an extra dice on attacks. So that turns Black Panther's strike into a 6 dice, and for just 1 power in Avengers, he gets a 6 dice reroll all strike. That's a really strong move. What he'd be doing though is potentially seeding the 3 VP on the first turn to try and get long-term attrition. Looks like he's positioning within 1, and he's going to have a go at trying to flip that meteor over to Avengers.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm.
And he's done.
He's playing.
Yeah.
I feel like they're both. I mean, we haven't seen Pat go yet, but it's very. I just from that move alone, I'm expecting a lot of conservative play, and like you said earlier, like trying to control the meteors more so than going for the herbs. So it's gonna be a very long game, in my opinion. We're probably gonna see a round 6 game more than definitely.
Unless we get a board wipe, which is, sometimes the dice go with you.
True.
I think how Art plays Loki is going to be one of the key things in this matchup. Where he positions him, you can see he's kind of got that centralish positioning between 2 meteors that I talked about with MODOK, so he could go to either. One of the great things about Loki in this is if he tricksters away, he can extend his God of Mischief bubble to the other meteor to really annoy you. So he can go and sit on one, potentially draw an attack, and then trickster away, so that he's now causing problems in power for Pat somewhere else that he wasn't expecting to have problems with power. That can really affect how the turn plays out.
Absolutely. I'm curious to see. Do you think he'll be going with MODOK last or with Thor last?
It's a good question. So his first activation is probably going to be Red Skull. I'd have thought that's typical. You'll go with Red Skull, move up, bump someone forwards, gain some power. He might choose to try and grab a meteor, but Cap's sitting opposite that central one as well. He's already got one taken, so I can understand that Pat might just choose not to, but to play the slightly longer game with Skull there and sort of harvest the resources for later turns. Zemo, I think, could be an early one as well, but he's got to watch out for Thor. Doesn't want to give him a turn 1 for Asgard into Zemo. That can end very badly.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, I would think he'd be wanting to go with MODOK earlier to move someone off. So I think it's going to be slightly reactive. Now the Panther's activated. There's sort of 2 fronts there. MODOK could get to the Panther. So it looks like he's activating with Skull.
Oh yeah.
And is placing him. Looks like he's trying to get in range to do some mystic attacks on Black Panther. Now that is Black Panther's weakness. So Pat has very cleverly deployed MODOK opposite Black Panther. Looks like he's probably going to get cover from that truck, which is going to help out his mats. But
I agree. I think it's just showing some good expectancy from Art, just like, let me get here so I'm not sticking myself out there completely. Let me get some cover going. Not getting greedy with that herb, because he most definitely could have gotten that herb and pulled back some, but not getting greedy is probably gonna save him some damage on Black Panther.
Yeah, absolutely. But this might be the first sign that Pat's game plan is to be aggressive and to go for damage rather than scenario. He's using that to try and get 2 attacks on Panther against Panther's weakest defense, where he won't get his blanks count because it doesn't work against mystic attacks. But here we're seeing, so it looks like Skull has cubed and then Master of the Cube, and is now advancing to a position where he can potentially do something similar again next turn. But this time, maybe next turn he'll be able to get onto one of those. So he looks like, so it's what I was talking about Pat measuring out. You can see he's using the medium move and the 2 range template there to check that Red Skull is going to be within Hail Hydra range of MODOK. If Thor wants to throw a hammer, for example, he can then Hail Hydra that onto MODOK, because he's very carefully measured and made sure that Skull is within 2 of MODOK. That's good positional play.
Yeah, it's very just like it's nice to see, like when you get to these high end games of like the skill level, is you see a lot of pre-measuring where it's available to be done, utilizing both the measuring sticks that you're allowed to use for the rules, and just basically that min-max play of, I can move here and make sure I get stuff what I need to get done, but I'm also making sure that I'm being defensive with it as well. It's really cool to see just like the proper positioning and proper use of all the tools available to you in this game.
Also, especially for me, like basically where I've learned to play competitively is from Pat and Jacob here. Listening to both Jacob talk and Pat talk. I've talked to both of them pretty extensively in private messages and openly in different discords.
Really annoying.
And actually watching them play is really interesting.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, like I've never seen Pat play. I've actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I have played against Art, and he rolled me. So I will say Art is a pretty competent player, especially making it this far to decide who from the Europe region is going to make it to the final tournament.
And you can see, yeah, they're being really slow and sure. They're doing lots of communicating, which maybe is not coming across to people on the stream. They're talking to each other, saying, okay, so here he will be saying that's 4, and he'll be saying, I'm placing cap so that he is outside of 4. So the point of using that stick there is to say, right, that's what MODOK could shoot twice. Again, MODOK's a great character to try and take down cap. He doesn't want to give him 2 free attacks on cap, especially when there's no cover. So putting him there, he's saying, right, well, I'm going to position so that, and I'm going to communicate to you, my opponent, that I have positioned here. I think that's particularly important when you're using an online interface, and maybe you can be out by like a fraction of an inch, actually. But if you're talking clearly with your opponent about what your intent is as you're going, then you can agree what's happening and make sure that you've got some really clean play going on.
Oh, absolutely. It's especially when you have a game like this where it's all like all your measurements are pretty much within, like it has like keyword, and it makes it really interesting, and like it makes it more beneficial to you to declare intent. Like, hey, my intent is that Red Skull is within 2 of MODOK for a held Hydra if needed. Would you agree this is within 2? And if not, I'll adjust my movement to make sure I get what I wanted.
Okay. So here's an interesting choice now. Art has essentially completely activated the left-hand side of the board as we see it. And so now Pat is going, right, there is little opportunity cost to me activating MODOK. If Loki comes this way, he's not going to be able to do significant damage to MODOK. He's not going to be able to get off an I Am a God strike, for example. It's just the positioning is not going to work out. So he's choosing to activate MODOK here because there's nothing left to react to. Whereas what he does with Zemo and Thor, he can still react to what happens with Art's Loki and Thor. What will be really interesting here is to see how aggressive his mindset is. It looks like he's measuring a move, which makes it looks to me like he's not going for damage, he's going for scenario. He's going to move over here so that he can try and flip him back. He's going to probably move, then attack, hopefully generate enough power to use Bow to the Will of MODOK, and then still have 1 left to be able to interact with the Meteor. I'm sure he would settle for interacting by itself. He's with 3 dice and 1 person in there. It's a 50-50 chance. It's a coin flip. I think he'd much rather clearly bow Panther away and make it more like an 87% chance. So he's moved right up there. I expect we'll see a Psychic Blast attack coming in, Panther next, and then after he's done his 2 attacks, try and bow, move Panther away, and then flip the objective. So.
Oh yeah, no, I completely agree with that. It seems like the most logical move. Everything goes right. He gets in there, pushes Panther off, and claims that objective. And like you said, the whole reactive thing, nobody else is going to be able to do anything about what MODOK does now on that side. So he's playing very smart and very, like, he's playing for points. And I mean, it is a point-based game, so you have to play for points when it comes down to it.
Yep.
So you take 3 damage.
So we got
3 damage.
Oh, go ahead.
3 damage on Panther. MODOK's going to get 3 power, which means he does now have enough to bow Panther away and still have 1 left to interact. So that's what I'd be expecting to see happening next.
Yeah,
yep,
there's the stick. Yep. So we got Utility Cookie in the chat saying Art will probably focus on center 1, and the one where Panther is to deny parts. Okay, so Art will probably focus on the center 1, and the one where Panther is to deny those, and then basically leave the other one for Thor and Zemo, if I'm reading that correctly, and then set up a turn 2 sibling and blanks Loki.
I can see that. I think MODOK positioned out on the flank, though, where the 2 closest characters to him are Black Panther and Captain America. I think that that's exactly where he wants to be. Loki is probably the character that Art has that is best adapted to deal with MODOK, if that was his plan, to try and take him out of the game. And having him far away from Loki and near the characters who are weak against the psychic attacks of MODOK is exactly what he wants. I think Pat's just checking there. Is it within long? So he's throwing this truck potentially at Panther. Another great way to get around Panther's defenses is to throw stuff at him, because his both of his defensive abilities only work on attacks, and throws are not attacks. I don't think MODOK's got the power to do it this turn. But
yeah, I was just looking at the.
to do it earlier.
It looks like he must have spent the power already to throw it. Because if because he starts with 1, gets 3, that's 4, 3 to throw. We did.
Already roll it for.
Anyway. Maybe he is going more aggressive than I'm giving him credit for. About the objective. How much power has he got MODOK on currently?
MODOK is on 1, so we should still have 1 to roll for the objective.
Oh, okay, brilliant. Okay.
Because because he did 3 damage. He made him use the brace. Yep. So 4. Yep. There it is. That tricky Cabal leadership.
Gotta remember it.
Always gotta remember it.
So is he making Art? Did Art burn the brace? I don't know if he did or not. It's not flipped or anything, but he hasn't taken any damage or rolled on Panther.
I think he's still
trying to decide.
Maybe, yeah. Because he's taken 3 power. One thing we missed is when Panther flipped the meteor, he must have rolled a skull, which explains why Panther is now on 4 damage and not 3. Remember, when you're interacting with the meteors, if you roll a skull, you take damage. And actually that means you're more likely to do it the more dice you roll. So previously I've been thinking that just more dice is better. More dice does come with more risk. And in this, particularly in this game, which is going to be a longer game, all those skulls that the extra dice from Thor or Captain America might be rolling might add up and actually become quite impactful. Panther's only 2 damage away from being dazed here, and he's well out of the ability to be field dressing. That would be really big to get Panther off his healthy side early doors.
And then Pat does. So we have Art using his brace to save Panther, and then Pat claims the objective, but he takes 1 damage on MODOK for the objective. So
1 on MODOK isn't as big of a deal as 1 on Panther.
Oh no, absolutely.
This early in the game, it might matter
especially Pat's running field dressing, which is a fantastic card to use on MODOK. Just to have a MODOK back is just
it's brutal.
Patience, please. MODOK's also a very likely configuration target, and particularly Pat doesn't have priority at the minute. Now I don't think he's got the power to do it this turn, but he's likely to still not have priority next turn. If you can use Cosmic Invigoration when you don't have priority, it saves you the cost of losing priority. So if you imagine it, he does have priority. He's actually going to have 5 characters activating to Art's 4, which means on a turn that he plays it, he's going to lose priority. If he already doesn't have it, that means he's not paying that additional cost. That is assuming that you don't want to have priority, which is you do want to have priority, which is the case for most Cabal players. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Pat cosmically invigorating MODOK next turn. That would be something he'll be looking to play towards.
So it looks like he's trying to think if he wants Loki to be going over to that left side, which is interesting.
So Loki against MODOK, like I said, Loki's his best character at taking down MODOK. It also makes him pay more for his rerolls, which can help rein MODOK in a little bit, and his bow and his throw. But Loki is also a great character at taking on Thor. So you've got these 2 big threats, one on each side, and it looks like Loki's going sort of centralish and trying to find a spot again using that range 4 stick to find a spot where he's putting MODOK and Skull inside the God of Mischief bubble that's going to make them pay 1 extra power when they want to use superpowers. Yeah, so he's just again checking it out. Is MODOK in 4 of where I want to place Loki? Skull with Thor wherever I want to place Loki. And I'm sure he's communicating that to Pat as well. I'm going, yeah, are you happy with this? Are you happy that if I place him there, then it's still going to be there?
Almost.
So he's going to try to catch Red Skull in it as well.
Yep. Now, I think that move
Just in the
probably means that Pat is going to win the Meteors this turn. So he can't contest the MODOK one particularly easy. Thor maybe can get there with 2 mediums, but probably not. Thor can move up and take the one in front of him on the right of the screen as we look at it. But there's a Zemo and a Thor opposite. Now Zemo is probably going to go next, and Thor will go last with his 4 energy defense. He's got very high odds of flipping that, of getting 2 hits. I think it's something like 60%, somewhere in that region from memory. Put it in an article a couple of weeks ago. So is that Zemo activating up there?
Looks like it.
Yep, that is Zemo.
Yeah, that's what I expect. And I would expect Zemo to go up and probably take that Meteor and force him to roll with Thor to take it off, just make it a little bit harder. Also, it's putting Zemo up closer to the herb, which is not going to be pretty, I don't think. But it's going to be something which he'll keep half an eye on, in the same way that Panther for Art is keeping half an eye on that other herb. But with MODOK on that side, pushing you away or manipulating exactly where you're positioning, and now that Panther's very close to being dazed as well, I'm not sure that's something that Art's going to be looking for. But I think it's likely. I think the odds are in Pat's favour here for him to be scoring the 3 VPs for controlling the most Meteors. Now, it's a random number game. Yeah, the dice just might not come up, but that's looks like where this is heading at the minute.
Yeah, because now if Art decides to go for that meteor, he's going to be having to roll 2 successes.
Yeah, again, so it's about that 60% chance that I mentioned. But it does, yeah, it could happen, and it could happen if it doesn't. So it's not a done deal yet. Sometimes with some scenarios, you can very quickly predict who's going to be ahead at the end of round 1. This one has got a little bit that little random element that means you're never quite sure.
You got the Pat rolling these skulls on these meteors.
Everybody's taking damage from meteors right now.
The
Yeah, but he
meteors
managed to get
are.
the success. He did.
Yep, he got the success. He got 2 crits on that one.
What is Thor going to do?
So, clearly thinking about what to do with Thor. I think he's really got to commit him to the right. I think in the centre.
Well,
I don't think he's going to do particularly well against MODOK. It's
the only
possible that seeing how
issue.
it's lying now, that they might just be committing to an all-out attack, and he's going to focus on trying to take out Skull and MODOK, and then try and overwhelm the other flank later.
Yeah, I feel like his best play is going to be
But
with Thor over there because
Zemo looks like he's within for Asgard.
I agree. But the thing is, if he dedicates Thor over to that right side, then he's basically losing sibling rivalry as a tactic card for a majority of the game. So what he might be trying to do is go up to the middle and then throw Loki into MODOK and get, because that card does stagger, doesn't it?
That's it for my team.
Yeah. So what he could be doing is, he didn't try it. Okay, I guess the power wasn't there. But if he starts off his turn with Thor, throws Loki into MODOK to get MODOK staggered. So before MODOK activates, it really handicaps MODOK's round 2. And
yeah, sorry, I dropped out for a minute there.
Oh, you're good. Yeah. Utility Cookie just has called it. So I'm curious. It just seems like I feel like he's setting up like Utility Cookie called, just pushing the hard middle and left and trying to take care of MODOK and Skull and dealing with Thor when he comes up.
I think the risk he's running there is if Thor's coming into the centre, Zemo's got nothing to do but run and grab a herb, which means that he's now rolling 6 dice reroll 1 on his attacks, and he's potentially threatening to be able to come over. And with the help of Thor maybe dropping him off, we could see like a turn 3 herb score that might just put Pat too far out of reach. I'd be interested to see what happens with that, but I can see, especially Thor going with Zemo,
And
he
his
looks
then
like
commander
that,
picks up the
rather
ball.
than coming into the center, which might
Sure.
get more work done in
That
terms of
is
damage.
the end of the
I think
round.
that's more of a
It's like
scenario
he-
play
I
with a
score 3
setup
points.
for a dropped off
I
Zemo
score none.
scoring a
I
herb
don't know
later.
why I did a
Is what I
Wakanda.
think could happen there.
Let's delete the Wakanda one.
I guess it was Black Panther.
Looks like Thor picked up the herb.
Yeah, I played mostly
did he?
Wakanda.
He
Well,
did.
Thor with a herb. No, that's
Cool.
okay.
And now on to
That's
round
interesting.
2.
That's much more of a I'm going to hit you in the face move.
I sacrificed round 1
So,
a lot.
Well, Thor with an extra dice. We've
yeah,
all had
let's
Thor
remove
with hammers on.
tokens.
We know what that can do.
Gain some
That's
power.
it's a 7 dice strike.
Yep, and that increases the odds of the wild as well.
Let's see how much nasty stuff we can do to
Looks
Modok.
like Thor.
Probably quite
He's
hard.
he's
Oh,
really
wait,
Have a fun
committing,
at Modok.
not yet game.
really committing
Yeah.
hard in the Modok.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
so
pretty
it seems good. But
I don't know.
in my opinion,
I-
like the issue I see coming up is he has all of his hard resources into Modok, and he's still gonna have a full health Thor with an herb coming in.
Yep, he's got a brace, he's got a med pack, and he's got a field dressing.
Only one
Mhm.
enemy,
So
9
even if he
points,
does manage to do a
got
whole
field
load of work on
dressing.
Modok, that Modok's still going to do work back.
Also no power at
The other thing
moment.
is Panther's looking pretty good. He's sitting on 3 power. Did they power up?
Let's
Yeah, they must have done.
do
Panther, yes,
a
they did.
for
Yeah, Panther
Asgard,
took 3,
combine
spent
with
1 on
a
brace,
drop
and got 1 back.
and
Yeah.
I'm dropping on Loki.
So you got 3 damage, 3 on Panther in Avengers, which
like
means
to
already he can afford to pounce
move
and
here.
Mantle of the Black Panther.
So he is gonna drop off Loki here. And if he does get the power, he can sibling rivalry and just one shot him. So it could happen.
Let's remove the
Yeah,
one
I mean,
first.
sibling rivalry is a great thing to use against Modok, because it just does an automatic 3 damage. Unlike attacks lower defense dice to a minimum of 1. That's only in attacks. There's nothing in there about dodge rolls. So dodge rolls, you can have your defense dice reduced to 0. And of course, sibling rivalry reduces the amount of defense dice Modok's rolling by 2. So if you just throw Loki into Modok, that's 3 automatic damage to Modok that you just can't do anything about. Apart from brace it, which,
he's
you know,
pay 1 to do
he's on 1 power. I can see that happening.
Because
So
Avengers.
this is physical, so I have 2 dice.
So this is Loki's strike. He appears to have paid for I Am a God, by the
only
looks
3
of it.
hits.
I got 1, so I take 2.
Indeed.
Got him an extra hit there, I'd have said.
Yep, looks like it paid off pretty well.
6 dice.
Yep, so you got 2 damage through there on Modok.
And then
Also
Thor's
hit
strike.
Modok, of course. Oh boy.
Oh, not a good hit from Thor.
I am not
Only
He could do with I Am a God.
No.
The classic counterplater for Asgard.
Just rolling well.
And he didn't get the wild on the throw either.
Counterplay.
Now,
He did not. I think he was really
looks
hoping to
like
get
he
the
was
wild.
Asgarding as
Kinda like
well.
it if I could do a
And
hammer throw.
if he's not doing damage, then we're not going to have a staggered Modok.
Nope. He in my opinion, he needs to do a strike here to get that power to do sibling
Let's
rivalry.
do another strike.
There it is.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got 1 power. He could do sibling rivalry. Did not realize that card was that cheap.
It is cheap.
Oh boy, only 1.
There's the
He got the
wild.
wild though.
Of course.
Yeah, Modok got at least 2.
No, the wilds will get cancelled by
Thor
Modok's
against
ability.
Oh,
Loki.
you were correct.
This is
So,
super annoying.
yeah. So once again, Pat has blocked it, and Modok's taken no damage from 2 strikes from Thor.
He
That
took
has been my experience, that Thor
Kinda
is not
remove
a
Black
great
Panther
counter to
anyway.
Modok. I mean, he rolls some
So the
dice,
stagger's
but
not
he
gonna
really
matter
relies on
much
those
for
wilds
that.
to really
Oh,
boost his damage
absolutely.
out. So
See-
when they get those wild negated, then he's 6 dice is nothing to sniff at. But my experience has been it's not quite good enough against Modok.
I'm surprised we
Oh.
didn't see the sibling rivalry there to try and
Well,
get the
Modok.
stagger on Modok.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
Stagger on Modok before he
I
activates.
didn't
Yeah,
expect him to
I can see it maybe happening in Loki's turn.
in 1 turn, maybe.
But,
9 damage is possible with sibling
Doesn't
rivalry
have
as
to
well.
be in Thor's turn.
Yeah.
If he had done more damage
So-
and left him on like 3, he probably would have done it.
Oh, yeah. If you left him on 3, you absolutely do it. So yeah, sensing danger.
Unfortunately, he just really didn't do anything.
Sensing danger. I think Pat's going to activate Modok.
Oh,
only
I
on 1
agree.
power, No, he's taken some damage. How much power is Modok on?
Modok is on 3.
Three.
Will have Modok go.
Okay.
He will attack
So
the
with 3 power
Yes.
available, that's probably now he's in Loki bubble, which is always a sad place for anyone to be, but particularly for Modok, who loves getting those rerolls 1-for-1.
That's a
It looks
big
like
hit
he's-
from Pat.
Yeah, and I think that's on Panther,
Yeah.
who's
That's a
blocked
big hit,
two.
too.
Like
Yeah, do
4.
you have-
Jesus.
Oh,
Yeah,
I sapped
3 energy.
power, and then
Oh
I
my
Oh,
sapped
it's sapping all of his power.
with a sap,
He's gonna
Yeah, with
sap
all
all
those
Black
wilds.
Panther's power
two
and daze him.
damage, and 1 for Cabal, putting me to 9.
Oh my
So yeah,
God.
that's
So,
Days Black Panther.
Modok just
Very
went from
powerful Modok now.
Modok just
Whoa.
went from 3 to 9 power.
Mm.
That's a massive play. Oh my goodness.
Now, the brilliant thing about this is
seeing as
Bow
I
to
have
the Will of
so
Modok is
much
not once per
power,
turn, it's once per character. So he
we
can
will
use all
go
that power to
ahead,
potentially
3-3-3,
move
yeah, that
Thor
works out, even
and
though
Loki
he's tapped.
away,
So we will go
essentially
ahead
forcing
and
Thor to
use
pay for
Whirling
Asgard
Blades,
again to
starting
get back to where he
with
was, and
Looks like he's
potentially
gonna
taking
Whirling
Red Skull
Blades.
out of the Loki bubble until Loki activates. Also, if you bow Loki away, you can deny him using Sibling Rivalry this turn, as they won't be
Yeah.
close enough together.
Oh, there's a dice return.
Okay, I'll
Oh
take
well,
that for and then
Yeah,
this one looks like it was into Loki, that 4 Mystic Defense.
No, I heard him say
So
Thor.
Whirling Blades.
Yeah, he's
I'm
Whirling
not gonna do
Blades.
Thor, because that will give you another
Oh.
direction.
but only if you go out of range, which seems difficult.
Right, Whirling Blades, yeah, so physical into Thor's 4.
Nah,
But then
okay,
he'll
one
get
for
one into
Asgard.
Loki as well. I guess on that much
Oh,
power,
God.
yeah, it's a reasonable call. You're
No
you're
reason
only
not
going to
to.
gain 1 power from the Psychic Blast, so
Much better into Loki.
Yeah.
I got
wow,
so right now you're
much
taking
better.
4.
Indeed.
That's a day's Loki, isn't it?
Will pay 1 to reroll the 1 that I can
Pay 2?
to try and take you
You have to
out.
pay 2
Okay,
with
so he's
Loki.
re-rolling
Oh, I'm sorry.
1,
Do I want to
paying
pay
2 power because of Loki's bubble
then,
to try and
um,
I guess.
yeah, I think I do.
Why do you need to? He's blocked. He's blocked 2. That's why he's trying to one-shot
You
Loki.
got everything, man. Jesus.
Yeah, and he's
Wow,
got
that's
so
a
that's
massive hit.
He's Loki.
right. Suddenly, the
yeah, just find
TKO seems like seems like it's on the table.
I hate Modok.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I did 1 damage, so I get
Don't know
1
if you
power
caught that
from
on the stream. That
and
was
then,
Art just going. I hate
you're
Modok.
dazed, so I will now.
Sometimes he's
spend
got dice
2
fixing and
to
the ability
move
to
Thor
just
away.
roll
Yep.
some ridiculous dice.
And now he
It
just
looks like-
pushes Thor away.
Yeah, it's just going right. You guys go away.
And that completely ruins any type of field dressing turn.
That was a pretty good turn.
I think you can't complain.
1 saving grace.
For sure.
He
Oh, boy.
couldn't bow away Loki because Loki is dazed. You can't move a dazed character by any means.
You also have Invigorate. It's not gonna do much.
So it's looking now, given that he only has, I think,
Cap.
Cap is running away from Thor and Zemo. Is what's happening here. I think it's pretty much wrapped up that Pat is going to take the Meteors again this turn and move him on to 6. I think if I were Pat, I'd be moving Thor further across to try and get closer to the herb. But only being able to move once is going to limit him. What I think Art should maybe be looking at is getting his.
I don't feel like passing.
His Thor's just been pushed towards
so
his Thor.
Cap's gonna
I can
go
see a shock
move.
hammer being thrown towards Art's Thor.
Do
That's
a
something
strike
that I
into
can
Red
see
Skull.
in the very near future.
Yep.
So Cap's moved up to within strike range of a skull, and I imagine it's about to strike him.
I
got
did
two
have a
to the
wild,
dice.
which I wanted. 3 hits.
So I take 1, and you get the push.
Yep.
So it looks like 1 damage onto skull, 3 hits from Cap, but he got a wild to push him away.
I suspect we'll see Red Skull move towards Thor and probably move
So
into.
you have free reign, good sir.
Within
Interesting.
4 of Thor, so he can then teleport him after he
2.
moved. That would be a way of speeding up Thor, getting him closer to that altar to try and. I can see Pat trying to accelerate this now. Now that the dice have started to go his way, I think he's going to take advantage and try and
Yeah, Loki needed to have a turn.
get Thor as
Just-
much as he can, as close as he can to the herb.
That was so terrible.
And bring presumably Zemo in as well. So Art has really committed hard to the left. You can see he's got no characters
Do I want to
on
drop
even
off
the
Zemo
center.
now?
He's got them. If you look at that crossroads there,
No,
they're
seems
all
a
on
bit
that left
unnecessary.
hand arm. So he's essentially given up on the right hand side. I think his gambit was to try and take out MODOK, and that hasn't worked. It'll be interesting to see if he's got a play to try and bring this back in beyond hoping for dice spikes. Now, the advantage he's got is, as we talked about earlier, Meteors is a super slow crisis. So,
Very interesting.
Pat's measuring out a
what do I
range
want to do?
3 from where Thor would land from Cap. Any ideas what that's for?
I honestly don't know. It looks like he's gonna try to go with Red Skull to get a little extra movement out of Thor to get him within 4 Asgard range.
Possibly measuring Steel Rush for drop off from Zemo
Oh, that's true.
or Counter Strike.
Yeah, I can see Steel Rush, yeah. But then he wouldn't be measuring from where Thor would be, because he gets the extra Thor base and the 1. I guess it's still something that is worth looking at. So, that's a medium move for Skull. So, he's trying to position it so that Skull, right, he's looking at activating Skull
Okay,
and
that's
moving
definitely
Skull
gonna
up
be
so that he's within
4.
4 of Thor, so that he can Master of the Cube him and bring him closer to the action and closer to the altar. I think possibly if he had gone with Zemo and picked up the herb, we could be looking at a drop off Master of the Cube Zemo move. Yeah, I think he could have scored the herb this turn
So,
if he'd have gone with Zemo, like we
we
were
will
talking about
have-
in round 1.
If he had picked it
Red
up, he could
Skull.
have.
Oop,
He probably could have
Move up to
scored
be
this
within
turn
4
with
Thor,
the
like that.
Steel Rush and
Yep.
everything.
he will spend the 3
I
power
think
that he
even
has
without
to
the Steel
teleport Thor
Rush, if
forwards.
Thor drops him off, that gives him a medium move and a 35 mil base and then a range 1. Okay, so yeah, Skull has moved up and is shifting Thor 3 inches towards the action. I can see him just potentially even just throwing 2 hammers. Throw 1 hammer at Thor, throw another one at Cap, saying, well, I'm going to try and stop you from attritioning your way back into this game by reducing the amount of dice
Get
you're going to
less
throw.
dice.
This is very awkward measurement.
When you're ahead, and
Let
you know
me
this is
see.
your out, is to do lots of damage. That can be a really strong control play with Thor. Although it is
sure
looking
I'll
like
get to
he's
that.
measuring the strike range to Art's Thor there.
Super awkward
Get an
measurement.
idea.
Or
Let's
Asgard to
beeline towards Thor. I
Yeah,
wish I
looking
knew
at the
to
way
go
he's
laterally now.
yeah, he's angling it slightly towards our side of the board, which makes it look like he's targeting that Thor. Thinking, well, if I can daze that Thor, and I've got all these daze characters,
So that's the 3
the
power.
downside there is he's going to be giving
I
Thor a
presume he's
huge
not in
amount of
range of
power.
Cap.
What's Thor currently on in
Pretty
power?
close.
Thor
1.
is on 1.
He's on 1.
No, he's not.
Yeah, because a 3 power Thor, even in Avengers, can't do that much, especially if he's relying on his strikes then. But if you whack him a bit and give him a whole load of power, then he could have a potentially very impactful turn. Again, MODOK is just surrounded by all these targets who really don't like mystic attacks.
So let's have him go.
Red Skull's just moving up to within 1, checking he's out of.
Just outside of range 2.
Yep.
He wants to be outside of range 2 so that
Like
Cap
that.
can't strike him or shield bash him. And I imagine he'll be
Okay,
having a
he's
go at
done.
flipping
You've
that
got no
over
one left,
to
do you?
Cabal, that middle meteor.
And Captain America doesn't have enough power to suddenly bring Loki up. Oh, you don't have field dressing, do you? Okay.
One thing I guess that the Avengers have got
Xenos
to try and
have got 1.
swing back over to the right is they've got
So I don't
Avengers
think
Assemble
I can do
for that
this
extra bit of
exactly
movement.
what I would like to do.
So you
Yeah.
can't completely count out that right meteor. But
maybe I
if
can.
Pat
It all
does
depends.
take that centre one, then it's going to be an uphill battle for Art to try and wrest them back off him.
Well, he's definitely in an uphill battle already with having 3 characters dazed at the
Panther,
middle of 2.
Panther with power,
normal suit.
Oh, I
Only
forgot
2
who was
days.
power stats,
You know
didn't he?
what,
That
I'm
was
just not gonna
horrible.
be
That was
greedy.
the
Oh,
worst part of
Thor's
it.
Thor's on
Kinda-
days.
Yeah.
I guess I'm
Yeah.
foreshadowing Thor getting dazed by Thor here.
Well, it's entirely possible.
But if anything, like if
So-
he ends up dazing Thor, it's gonna give
Oh, you know
Art
what?
the possibility to have a really good
I'm gonna
comeback
activate
next
Zemo
turn.
first.
It gives him the possibility to.
Yep.
And
Thor with
Zemo
again a powered up Thor. That can do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
is going to run.
Okay. So it looks like he's moving
Second
Zemo
move's
up.
not distance relevant. 'cause he wants
Potentially,
to do the
Thor
big
might be
in the centre,
dropping
which
off
is going
Zemo
to
just to
make
try and really hammer home that nail and try and daze Thor with 2 attacks from Thor and. No, maybe not.
Okay, he's going to.
You only have
Claim
Thor
the
left, right?
Yeah, I've only got Thor left.
Yep.
So he claims the center.
He does.
He breaks the mold. Doesn't even take
So
the damage.
Pat has all
All the
meteors
game
now.
rules so far.
Yeah, and then sorry, I'm not putting my ticks down. So yeah, sorry, you want to do something?
I'm thinking maybe you want to play a card.
Yeah, you want to assemble some Avengers?
I am pondering about it.
So this could be big if he does a bunch of
because Thor can
Avengers
only do one move
assembles
action.
to get people into positioning for his beginning next turn. He doesn't have to waste a bunch of
let's-
power doing other things.
Sorry, there are 2 movement tools on the board. Red Skull's blocking him here. He can fit a little bit back here. He be in range of Cap.
Stupid, sexy Red Skull.
I think he won't fit between the 2 bases.
It might. Well, if you really want to check, it might be that he can go. Oops, that's the wrong one. It might be that he can go behind Red. Gosh, why isn't it stuck into Cap?
Let me replace
It
the.
might be that he
activated
can
token.
go over there if you want to check.
Yeah, probably.
Sorry, I dropped out again for a minute there.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
fine.
Do I mind though?
I
So,
was just listening to what they're talking about here with this one.
Nice
So
if Cap was not staggered.
Art's
Um,
looking at doing
yeah, let's go
Avengers
ahead.
assemble.
Avengers assemble.
So even though he hasn't got any
Cap
activations left, he
and,
still gets a turn in
Thor.
which he can't activate anyone because he has no one to activate, but he still has an opportunity to play tactics cards.
Let's do
It looks like
first.
he's looking at moving Thor and Cap because they're the only people who are not dazed.
That is the only people. But it definitely helps him set up his positioning to try and really have as much going in MODOK at the beginning of next turn. Like I'm expecting to see a dazed MODOK at beginning of round 3, but I mean dice are not going in Art's favor at all.
That's true, and Pat does have field dressing, so that MODOK is still going to get to activate, and if he leaves it later in the turn, potentially Cosmic Invigorate as well.
Within range 2 of Loki.
Let me undo it, and because he fell over. Yeah, he's winning 2 of Loki.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so
the one
within two of
thing-
Loki, that's
You've assembled Avengers.
relevant for the
Good.
sibling rivalry.
The one thing that he does have going for him is Pat's not going to get any more crit blow-ups. Like so that'll be nice
Well-
with Loki being injured.
Yep. Again, the Avengers are full of these characters who get better on their injured side. And that extra nasty Loki bubble can really shift the dice math.
And that Avengers symbol possibly also limits what Thor can do to Thor.
Well, I think the best thing Thor can do to Thor is throw a hammer at him. He was always going to have to try and attack him because he only gets one move because he's carrying the herb. But that shot
Does
on
keep him
Thor.
from throwing him, getting a throw and throwing him
Yeah.
out of range where he can't do anything.
Okay. He
That's
advances,
true.
and he's going to throw a hammer at you.
So it looks like Thor's going to have to go
There's-
at flipping that meteor.
It's a 6 dice hammer.
He's gonna be throwing the hammer.
Yeah.
Get that shock on him.
Ooh, I roll. well.
That's
Oh,
really
that's a
good,
that's a
defense.
really nice roll.
With
Cool,
a lot of
you are-
crits.
You are shocked.
Yeah.
But he got what he needed.
So
He needed
no
that shot.
more
Yes.
energy.
Yeah, that's what he was doing. It wasn't about the damage.
That is the end of the round.
Cool. You score
So
another
into
three.
this round,
Yeah.
Pat goes up 3 more, and
And
Art
three,
is
and
at
you
0
need to
still.
flip some
Mm.
Indeed.
And
So
Pat,
if
not
Pat
Pat,
wins, if Pat controls the meteors at the end of this round, which seems
Well,
like
I expected
quite
this turn
likely
to
given the
go
board state
so
currently,
differently than it happened.
then
Oh my god.
Art
Yeah.
is gonna really struggle. Even if it goes to
Modok
6
was
rounds,
really
the best
rough.
you can do is tie.
Let's remove the taste token and let's power up.
Down 6 isn't that big a deal. Down 9 is a different story.
yeah. If I don't see it happening, but if Art can get the herb before Thor, I mean, if Art has the possibility, he's got Loki completely powered up, so he's got some shenanigans he could do there. But he wants that 10 power to be on Thor, not Loki.
Let's start off.
Other issue
with,
is if Pat also
I
scores the herb this turn,
played drop off.
going to
Did I? Yeah, I
13.
didn't flip the card. My bad.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
you
it's
flip it.
an extremely
Uh,
uphill battle at that point.
Yeah, so Thor can walk and be teleported by Skull, and that will get him on there.
I'm gonna start off doing
To
sibling
try and
rivalry.
counter that, he might try and hold Panther back,
I'm gonna push.
or try and send
Loki
Panther towards
into
Thor to try
Modok.
and knock him back if he sees that
so
coming.
Brace and be staggered.
Yep.
So it's
Simple, short
sibling
move.
rivalry.
Loki's gonna activate.
They do a sibling rivalry
He's
there.
gonna pick up the herb.
Looks like it. And did Pat brace
Basically
it
wants to
away?
just,
Look
I
at the
believe.
power
Yep,
up.
he
Do
did.
a
No,
strike into
yeah, he
Modok.
did. He braced it.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's gonna use I'm a God.
Because it's so horrible, that 3 automatic damage on Modok.
I got nothing.
Ooh, big hit, Loki.
I got a crit. I got 6 hits because the
I take-
wilds become blanks and the blanks also count.
Yep, so
Yeah.
there you can
So you
see
get
he's
6,
just saying he's got
I
6
have
hits.
0.
And now looking at that,
So I'm
he's
on
only those 2 wilds should get turned to
Um,
blanks, but with I am a god, that's going to be damage into Modok. And with no blocks, that's just 6
I
straight
want to
damage
kill
into Modok.
him. He has a lot of power.
Did
But-
a
So
whole
he's also
bunch of
staggered.
damage
How
to
much-
Modok there.
How much
Um,
power is Red Skull on? Because
Red
looking at the potential
Skull
for
only
field
on
dressing.
one
is
right
on
now.
1.
Okay, so it's going to be harder. What about Zemo? How's Zemo looking?
Zemo is on 1.
Huh. Okay, so it looks like Pat's not got loads of power. 4 on Thor. Thor could potentially move up and field dressing Modok. What you do there is you'd position Thor and then try and have him survive, and then so activating Skull and Zemo earlier, get a few more activations out of the way to limit the counterplay that's available to try and get Modok back up. Maybe also get Skull over there so that he can cosmically invigorate this newly renewed Modok.
Cosmic Invigorate can be real scary though on a really
Yeah,
damaged
if it-
Modok.
That's true. Yeah, it's very likely to take him out. It's a risky play, but
But in
Yeah,
these
I'm gonna do a
situations,
strike
it's
with
almost
Modok.
worth it because if
Okay,
Modok
I
can,
be a god.
so Loki's going
Well,
into
with
Modok
with the
again.
med pack as well.
6
Modok
damage
can med pack
trick.
himself.
And that puts him out of most of the
But
Where
danger.
you roll 6
Yeah.
wilds and curse yourself.
Oh,
So
boy.
he got 1 damage,
2
2
hits.
You've
damage.
got 2, so I need
Yep.
to re-roll them both and get 2 successes. To
So
live.
Pat
You know
needs to
what? Why not?
reroll
I've got
both
enough
of his
power.
dice. He's
Yeah.
got all the power in the world to do it.
Because Loki.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
But he needs
Oh.
to get 2 successes.
This would be pretty outrageous if I get it. Let's see.
If he gets it, nope.
Nope. So I take
No.
1.
So a
I
dazed
take
Modok.
Well, game
Now,
one.
the stagger condition is going to stay on him, even though he's
I
been
don't think I
dazed,
gained
because the
the
stagger gets
power for
removed
the
when it
first
gets flipped
strike.
in the cleanup phase.
Because
I
So
started on-
even if he does
started on
field
10.
dressing Modok,
You
he
spent
is
a
still
shot
only going to
on
get
it,
1
you
action.
picked
But
And
I did
sibling
6 damage.
god
which,
and
you know,
herbs. That
is
took you 3, so you went
so
to
this
7.
is what
We've
needed
gone
to
back to
happen
10.
for Art to
Yeah.
be in this game. He's
So I
he's
would use still 10.
taken probably away a big threatening activation,
Because I
and he's
didn't
got a
pay
lot
for
of
the stone.
power on his
Oh, that's
characters. Look at Loki on 10 power, crikey.
Oh, yeah, that's-
Loki's going to be a real pain to deal with now, with tricksters and I'm a god.
God. He's got all the power
So
he needs to be defensive.
he has, and he's got that deny crits exploding ability as well.
As well as he's holding the herb, so he's probably actually wanting Pat to go into Loki so he could trickster away and use trickster to get the movement back towards his herb spot.
Yep, I suspect Pat is just going to ignore Loki for the rest of the game. With that much power, he's just such a pain to deal with. Instead, I think he's going to focus on, well, he's got his herb halfway across the board already. I wouldn't be surprised to see Thor going last and just making sure he gets down and scores it.
Yeah, because the last thing he wants to do is put him right in the middle of all those heroes, and
Yes.
I don't think so.
But I mean, he might be going. I could see a play from Zemo here to try and do some serious damage to Thor, but he needs to take out Thor instead of powering him up.
Yeah, has Thor taken any damage so far? I don't think he has.
He has not.
No.
Yeah. So
we will have
can his
Thor go.
Oh, we're going with Thor. Thor from Pat.
Asgard, it's going to cost him 4, which is sad, so we can't also drop off.
I was considering dropping off Zemo, but
Yeah, the power cost.
Loki.
so it looks like he's activating Thor first, and then potentially later he can bamf him to 2 to within the altar, doing it that way around instead. But he's using Thor to get his using his herb to get that big 7 dice strike. We'll start see some people being thrown around a lot.
And he's also measuring for that Zemo reroll.
Yep.
Might
So again,
also just be walking up and dropping off.
he did mention that, but he said he didn't have the power, which I find strange. So I think he does.
He doesn't have the power to do a 4 Asgard and a drop off because he has to pay 4 because of
right.
Loki. Yeah, so he might just
Yeah.
negate the 4 Asgard and walk and drop off Loki.
Oh, this is on the wrong base.
Yeah.
Let's put that
I
on.
was
I was
wrong.
like,
Although I think he'll be
that's
wanting
going
to
the
try and
wrong way.
maximize Thor into 2
So you
attacks,
do
especially with that
have a
herb
big
on
crit
him.
Now, with all of those characters over there, would you think this is a
It
good
is
spot
a
to
tough
you
choice,
try and get the
that is
power
true.
and do a
But
the God of
I think
Thunder
it has
attack?
to be
No,
a
No.
into
it's nearly
the
always a
strongest
trap.
Avenger.
Now in Cabal,
I don't play
maybe
Hulk, though.
not. 'Cause if you can hit, well, he's going to hit what 3 characters there.
Oh,
Mhm.
Um,
oh my gosh.
so he might
Oh my
gain
gosh,
3
come on.
power off it,
Snap.
but
It's
he's
okay.
going to get 1 power off his
There we
strike
go.
anyway. So he's
Yeah, it's not exactly a.
he's
very
going to get more
significant-
power.
Okay.
No, I still think I
In
don't like
comes
it there.
Thor. He has
It's
paid 4 for that
so
because of your-
it's a
his
cool
anointed
attack,
brother
and it's very
on 0
thematic for
power.
Thor. But I nearly always think it's the wrong
And
call.
he is hitting to 7 dice on your Thor.
I would agree. I was curious of the dice math thoughts. So we got Thor coming through with a 4 Asgard strike into his
2
Thor.
crits don't explode.
Only
2
2
blocks.
hits though.
That don't explode too.
Yeah, no.
His dagger has done nothing.
And which get blocked. So
and
nothing on
for-
the first
At
one,
least
which
it's
means
equal
Thor
now.
isn't staggered.
Yeah.
But it
Now
looks
he'll
like he's
hit
going
himself again.
And another
doing
strike.
that again. Yeah, second strike.
Yep.
Yep.
You got to
Ooh,
throw that
there's the
down.
wild.
Yeah, and
Sorry, one more.
only 1 block at the minute.
Only one block.
Yeah, 1 block.
I got
So
4,
that's
so you take 3 damage.
3
I did
plus
get
the
wild.
collision damage,
I
4
get
damage
4
onto
power
Thor.
because I am a Cabal member.
And
Yes.
Thor got some nice power, so
I
he's
will
got
throw
the
you.
throw, and then he's gonna get another throw for a superpower if he goes for it.
Has to be
Throw-
a throw
this
away
shadow
from,
right
from
building.
Thor's wild.
Yeah.
But then
Probably not.
throwing Loki
I wanted to say that way
to
anyway, so let's
move the
find out.
bubble is a very strong play with him.
Absolutely.
So whether he'll be able to squeeze
No, you know
between
what, that's not
Modok
gonna hit you.
and Cap, I suspect there's not space for him to go that way.
Into
So you'd
Modok
have to
for one
throw
point
him
damage.
probably towards Thor. That kind of direction, towards that building. Yeah. Yeah, so he got 4 power onto his Thor for that, which again puts him in a nice place. But remember,
Yeah.
the throw is going to cost 1 extra because of
There
Loki.
we go. Thor is done.
Yeah,
So the nice
choosing not to
thing,
throw.
the nice position Pat is in is with how much power he has on
The
Thor.
Germans.
All he needs is because
Sorry.
Excuse me.
Red
Because
Star
art is
Band?
up in activation,
Oh,
correct?
same
1,
with
2,
German?
3.
Yeah, because Modoc was
So-
used for activating.
I don't
So
actually-
Pat's gonna
thought
get
more
that
it's,
opportunity to field dressing
something
Modoc
Eastern Europe or something, but maybe
on
that's
that pass
just
turn.
Me thinking back about the movies.
Who's going to have enough power to do it, though?
So yeah,
Thor
it's
has
supposed to
4.
Thor's got 4, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I
I
think
delivered a small
Art
amount of
really
dinner.
needs to try and take out Thor, not only for the herb,
Okay,
but
I will mute myself.
limit that
If you need 5 minutes
field
to eat,
dressing.
I don't mind.
It's okay.
Yep,
It's okay. I'm good.
I see that he hasn't taken any damage yet, though, has
How
he?
much energy
He
does
has
Gerald
not.
have?
I just peeked over
One.
there and looked.
Problem.
I'd be expecting Art to keep Black Panther's activation till last, just in case he because now that he's getting the last activation of the round with today's Modoc, I mean, unless there's a field dressing, he can then push Thor off. He can move forward or pounce forward and push Thor off the objective, so he doesn't score those 4 points.
So that also comes to a question: is it worth field dressing Modoc, losing that priority, or letting Modoc daze to get 1 super turn of Modoc at the beginning of round 4?
So at the minute, I really like not having. If I'm Pat, I would quite like not having priority, because then that allows you to do your last activation to get Thor onto the altar without any opportunity for counterplay. So at the minute, I don't mind not having priority, because I think it wins Pat the game probably on turn 4 if he doesn't have priority. So I can see that. I could also see cosmically invigorating Thor would be another potential play. Again, because that will lose him priority. And even if Thor drops the herb now, the herb has gone a long, long way.
Yeah. And
so
Zemo
it's
could
not
just
gonna be
pick
too
it up
hard
and
for
run
him.
it in.
He got it. He'd have to get ported in by Skull, but yeah.
Yeah. It looks like Cap into
5
Thor,
dice,
maybe?
yeah, 5 dice strike into Thor, looks likely.
3 damage.
Yeah.
3 damage onto Thor? That's a decent hit.
Yep.
He's got 3 left. Can Cap do it?
Let's do a shield slam into him.
So having gained that power, he's now going to shield slam, because that automatically pushes Thor away, and that should hopefully then deny the
field dressing.
Both the field dressing and the play onto the altar this turn.
Not get the wild though.
The crit doesn't explode.
It's automatic on shield slam.
So
Oh, it
shield,
is.
I got 1.
Yep. Got 2 crits.
It is a throne.
There's the wild, though.
3 hits, so...
Oh, it's not no wild at all. I thought there was some sort of wild on shield slam.
1.
Shows how much I play Cap.
He's got a wild on his strike and a wild on the ricochet on his shield throw.
So Pat's got 2 blocks, and we got 3 damage incoming. So 1 more damage with the throw.
Yeah, Brace already got used.
So throwing Thor into Zemo.
And that should daze him.
Yes, please.
So this has been a really good turn for Art.
It has.
Still, yeah,
I don't know if you
scoring the 3 VPs.
I don't know if you heard Pat though and Art. He's like, I don't want to throw Thor into Zemo because that's going to power up Zemo. So it's and if we learned anything from Sploosh's game the other day, a powered up Zemo is extremely nasty.
So you will hit
you want me to hit Zemo? Okay.
Yeah.
So he is hitting Zemo with him.
So Thor's dazed. His Wakandan herb drops out, which you can place.
Get that herb as far out of there as possible.
Yep, absolutely. But now a powered up Zemo with a herb is even more powerful.
What was power? Zemo's on. He's taking 1 or taking 2. So Zemo will be at.
Get a charge.
Hey, man.
Yep.
It's
Zemo got what he wanted.
I'm done.
So I can see now potentially Zemo being ported over to the herb. Looks like he should be. No, he should be out, actually, shouldn't he? Looking at it. If he's not out, I think that might have been a misplay by Art. If he'd put it directly away from Thor, directly away from Zemo's base, because you can place it up to 2, then it'll be range 2 away from the edge of Thor's base. Zemo gets placed within 2 by Skull's ability, so he should be 35 millimeters away from it. Now, because he's put it at a slight angle, I can see that it might be possible that Zemo can get placed within 2 and be within 1 of that
Loki, which I don't love.
herb. So
In fact,
I don't
I
know.
hate it.
It's
And I've
difficult
just
to
put that
eyeball,
stupid marker on top
but
of the Avengers Tower.
I can see that there might be a.
Damn you, Avengers
Ooh,
Tower.
it's going to be tight.
Commentators, if you're reading this,
Because the
please say
tolerance
size
is
6.
no, the tolerance is reasonably big, isn't it? It's
Okay,
about
where am I going to go?
1 centimeter. But if he
It's
didn't
a
use
great
the
option.
full
It's a
range of the
charge.
2, then
Guardian and
Zemo
Outcast
might be able
Guardian,
to get
Guy
placed.
dresses
Oh no,
Guardians.
he's just ignoring the herb.
My arch
Zemo's
nemesis,
coming in
Captain
and
America.
looks like he's going to be having
Seemed
a go
like
at Thor.
thematic choice.
Go for
Thematic choices are usually bad in this game, though.
Yes, that almost always.
Now Zemo, because he's already got some power, and if he gets more off a strike and the Cabal leadership ability, it might be Zemo that's doing the patching up of MODOK.
Absolutely. Because how much is Zemo on right now? He's on 3. So all he needs to do is a charge and
Well, that's going
get
to
some
cost him
damage.
3, though, isn't it? That's going to cost
Oh,
him
you're
3.
right. So it might just be worth
Because of
moving
the
and getting a
Loki.
strike off of there to get that at least 1 power.
Well, if he charges, he gets 2 strikes onto Thor.
Okay.
How much damage is Thor on?
Zemo
Thor's
is
on
potential
3.
3 to charge.
3, so he can get 3 power
He
plus
is
2. He can
charging
get 5 power
Loki.
potentially.
Sound of it.
Zemo is, however,
You
going to
have
within
so
reroll
many
range of
options here.
Thor.
I'm just gonna politely pause and let you decide what you want to do.
Did he? Oh, he's going into Loki. So see if Loki does the trickster or not.
I think I'll just bodyguard. Let's see.
Yeah, he's bodyguarding with Cap by the sounds of it.
Yoni's power for sword strike.
You know what, let me just tweak my position here slightly. I can be
Nope.
within
Yep.
2.
I'll.
But you obviously you can still do what you want. It doesn't really make a difference. I just realised Thor is terrifying.
So what I think
I've
would be
now
interesting
switched
though
my Thor, who I've now
is
managed to
if
slide away from myself.
he had used trickster here to try and use that extra movement to get him closer to the
So, yeah,
herb.
so,
Like,
you're gonna bodyguard with Cap?
do you think that would be worth it?
I'm
He's
pondering.
still a long way off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's bringing him closer to Skull,
I can
who
just trickster. It's
can push him
basically
away
the same
with
because you can attack Cap.
his wilds on his
I think
attacks.
the trickster is a little cheaper.
He is.
Oh, he's sounds like he's going for the trickster.
I'm gonna spend trickster.
Yep, there it is.
So he's using the range 2 to make sure that he is trickstering out of range of the strike. Now, the interesting thing about this is if Zemo's charging, he still gets 2 attacks from where he ends up because he gets back an action. So he gets back the 1 action that he's used, so he still has 2 actions available. He can't charge again because charge is once per round, but by trickstering out, he still can make 2 attacks into Captain America.
And now Baron Zemo is going to dice Captain America off the table.
Don't know if you heard that on the stream. Pat saying Zemo's going to dice Captain America off the table. That's going to be impressive, seeing as he's going to have to KO him to do that. But it's not. Yeah, Cap is not as tough as you think on his healthy side. He's only got 5 stamina, so it's entirely
With 3
possible.
blocks. With 3 blocks though.
Very good, Cap.
That helps.
Now do it again.
Another one.
I will use Vibranium Shield for 1.
Vibranium shield coming through.
Yeah, you didn't bodyguard. Yep.
First action of
Oh, big blocks again. Ooh,
And big
that's a
blocks
big
and those
hit.
crits not exploding is hurting Pat.
Oh, absolutely.
got
4 blocks.
Oh my goodness, look at that.
So like I said, yeah, Cap is really quite swishy on his healthy side.
Except for roll like that.
Except for when Loki's right there.
He's still got good numbers, but
Oh, he got
5
absolutely
stamina
amazing
does help.
dice. Like
Yeah.
if Loki wasn't there, that would have been a dead Captain America.
Yep. I think a lot of people don't see the sort of the soft power that Loki observes because he doesn't do big flashy things very often. But just there denying those crits has had a huge impact on Zemo's activation, and essentially he's achieved nothing.
So in your opinion, because Loki is definitely more annoying on his flip side, do you think it's worth ignoring Loki sometimes?
I don't think ignoring is the right strategy. I think Shuri is a great character to take against Loki. Just pushing him away and just trying to manipulate where that bubble is from range, so you can do it outside of the bubble and still be getting your upgrades. Black Panther can do it to an extent as well, but anyone with a push or a throw, just thinking, right, this character, their job is to
I
make
don't remember the exact
Loki be
measurements. I
less
think it's
annoying,
quite hard
and
to move between
by
the two,
doing
but
that,
it
you're
might be
negating a
doable.
lot of what he's bringing to the table.
I guess
He
we'll find
also
out.
So I think that's something you should be looking at when you see Loki across from you. Is right, who's gonna deal with him? Am I gonna have to try and punch through him and KO him, or am I gonna try and just control him? And generally, my preferred option is to try and control him, especially if he's hunting down MODOK with his I am a god, which we saw. Can do some serious damage to MODOK.
Yeah.
Flipped Loki is very annoying.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, currently, Pat's going to have priority.
Which MODOK will just kill stuff.
Yeah, and Hart's thinking the same thing I'm thinking. MODOK's going to go. He's got 10 power on his MODOK. Going to probably have a good go at that Black Panther and try and take him off the table, and then do some bowing and throwing, and yeah.
He can place himself, I believe. Yeah.
Who can place himself? Red Skull? Yeah, I think we can.
Okay, so what have we got? We've just got Panther and Skull left to activate.
And
so,
Thor.
We have
yes, Arts. Yeah, we got Arts Thor still, which
Okay.
I don't know what the play is with that one, because it's like you almost want to take out Zemo, but you also don't want to just power him up, especially with Pat having that priority.
Zemo's only got Zemo's only got 2 stamina left. So
I guess that's not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's probably the time to take him out.
Let's see where it gets him. He's moving again.
So yeah, Panther looks like he's going to go over and try to push Skull off that meteor, and then claim it himself.
That's my guess. Maybe he's trying to get up on the scoreboard.
Yeah, but at the same time, it looks like that might be making sure he's within 2 of Thor. So again, we're seeing the use of those 2 rulers, saying, right, well, okay, I want to make sure I'm positioned well so that I can potentially wail into Thor next turn. Panther with all those rerolls can do a lot of damage. So he's looking at a pounce. If I pounced, where would I end up? I think it's not close enough
to
the.
Oh yeah.
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 Which I guess is a legal play.
It is. No, it was more for myself.
Interestingly, when you're pouncing, your characters normally you can advance through your characters. When you're pouncing, because it's a throw, that Loki might even have depends on the exact positioning, but that Loki might have prevented him pouncing anyway.
Yeah, I have to be a little bit lucky about this one, but we'll see. I want to be just outside of the 2 of Thor.
So he's going just outside of 2 of Thor.
I'd have thought he might be going just inside of 2, but no, it looks like he is going outside.
Yeah. Pretty sure I am. Yep.
Yeah, there's definitely a place to go.
Checking he's outside of 2. Yeah. Okay, he's worried about reprisals, seeing that Thor is outside as well, so he's looking to push off Skull.
Let's roll for the orange bomb.
Oh, he's rolling for it. Yeah, he's got to roll for it.
He did 2 long moves, didn't he? So no, he's pouncing, is he?
Nope.
No.
It's probably
50% chance that 3 dice trying to get 2 hits.
But your turn.
Okay,
But,
so I got
sometimes those coin flips don't come your way.
You do.
Yeah, not quite.
So I got 1 power. I could just Cosmic Cube you. You got 6 health. You're on your bad side, so you can Vibranium against both.
So Pat's weighing up. Do I try and control Panther by Cosmic Cubing? By Cosmic Cube to get some power for an attack? Or do I just try and do damage?
Yeah, let's try and do
looking at Panther and thinking
Cosmic Cube your Panther.
Cosmic Cube on the Panther.
Playing 1 to do 5 points.
I think he means unleash the cube.
Yeah.
So he's going for the.
You do have sub power. You can. Yeah, I'll pay 1.
So he's paying 1 to get his Vibranium armor, which is the same as Cap's Vibranium shield, giving him extra dice on the attack.
3 blocks.
Big
bunch of
block.
hits.
Okay.
Gosh,
I like
yeah,
this,
the
that's quite
dice
powerful.
suddenly have swung Art's way.
And then I do it again.
Who knew these these Avengers were so defensively
Zero.
powerful?
Can't rage your thingy this time. Let's see what I get.
So
Oh
he's
my
trying that
goodness.
again.
1 block.
I got 2, so you take 1. I get 1 power
Okay.
back for being Cabal.
Yeah.
Not the most exciting Red Skull turn, but he gets a tick. Over to Thor.
Yeah, so let's see what Thor can
Yeah.
do. Even though he's shocked. So
So Thor still does. I'm not Thor, but Art still has 1 tactic card left to be in med pack, and Pat still has cosmic drop off, med pack,
True
and
Cosmic
field
used so
dressing.
much.
hmm.
Yeah, it was
That was-
incredible
oh
medical
my.
activation.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Now would be a great time to daze someone and not give Pat an opportunity to
But
play
also
that field
me
dressing
doing
on
nothing
that
with
character.
Thor. If the stagger was there,
Mhm.
I felt way more comfortable.
Yep.
Mm.
But also
don't
not
know
having
why
the
the shock on him.
sibling rivalry as well.
For Asgard just has an incredible way of failing whenever I'm playing. My own one failed against you as well. It just, I swear it fails more than half the time.
Do I want to throw Zemo? 2 hit points.
So he's considering a throw as a way of getting damage in. If he threw Zemo at Thor, Zemo would be left on 1. If he threw Thor
Yeah,
at
kinda
Zemo,
have to do
then
some damage.
Thor would take 1 damage.
Because
Thor's dazed
Oh
though,
wait,
so he can't be
it's
thrown.
Thor's dazed. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah.
That's not gonna work.
So move, first action. Do I make the throw?
So I'm curious. Do you think Art's almost given up on objective and just trying to kill now?
This throw though.
No, I don't think he has. I think what he's trying to do is to try and attrition down to a point where he can win the objectives more easily. So when he can out activate, go later. There's still a lot of game to be played.
Oh, absolutely.
If he starts
Okay,
losing
so
characters
you've
though,
moved
if
and then
either
you're doing
Panther or
faster.
Loki gets KO'd next turn, then I think this might start to slip away from him.
Yeah.
Especially he can't take the away from Pat, so Pat's going to be on 9. Loki's got potential to get over to his herb, but it's still going to take him, I don't know, maybe 3 turns to get there if Pat doesn't target him with any more attacks.
Yeah.
5 dice only.
Going into Skull. I will say, Pat has definitely had the turn or the round that he needed to have.
You mean Art? Yeah.
Oh yeah, Art.
Yeah.
Yeah. Art has
helped
definitely
by
had
the
the
dice.
turn.
Helped by the dice to an extent.
So we got the 4 Asgard off and got the stagger onto Skull.
Of course. We can daze though.
Oh, you can daze yourself. That's pretty cool.
Oh, that would be bad.
Yeah, why did Thor just take some damage there?
Yeah, he took 2 damage. I don't quite know why.
He did 2 damage to Red Skull.
But he put 2 damage on himself as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll. I already distracted to 1, subtracted 1. So I need 2.
You want to
sure.
ask him about that in the game?
I do have it and no damage.
Boo.
You still have the VPs though. It's been a rough game for me. I think that's round 3. You go to 9.
Yeah, I think you were supposed to put power instead of.
Now it's my turn to flip character. This time it's MODOK and Thor.
Indeed.
I have priority and I power up.
You do. Let's remove the stagger and dazed from MODOK.
I don't think they saw it. I am really curious. I don't see where that 2 damage came from.
I I think he was supposed to put two power on Thorn instead of 2 damage.
Yep, I think that's what's happened. Can we get?
Interesting. Now you're all the way over there. Where did the 2 damage on Thor come from? Art's side.
Did I do damage instead
I
of energy?
attacked you with Thor.
Yeah,
True
do you want to
me,
say
yeah,
we
I
think
think
he
he
added
was
2
on
wounds instead of 2
3.
power on his strike?
Did I press the wrong one?
No. You added 2 wounds instead of power.
Are they
So I
sure
said-
though?
So heal 2 wounds. You guys can hear us, so I didn't know why we're typing.
I mean, I thought he added power and wounds.
Oh, noble judges.
I think I added the energy correctly.
Okay,
Power
but he
and
definitely
wounds,
added
okay.
wounds, and that was
So,
strange.
do you agree with me putting my Thor back on 3 hit points?
Yeah, if that's what the judges say, then do that.
Would have changed? Nah, wouldn't change anything. I would have died for the. So
Yeah, I was like, where did he take 2 damage from? I was like,
Yeah,
Pat
like
was
he was
going.
attacking Red Skull at 3 of 6, not 5 of 6. What?
Yeah.
This is super interesting.
So I'm curious. I mean, I feel Pat pretty much has to go with MODOK first without losing him.
Yeah, with only 4 stamina left, he's going to
Alright,
have a
what's
go,
all these
and
characters?
one at a time, man.
it's a question of target priority, isn't it? I mean, he's
Oh,
good at
absolutely.
taking down Cap, but he'd love to have a go
Yeah.
at Panther and take him off the board.
Can I have MODOK die now?
Well, the nice thing that
this is tough.
Art has going for him is
Tough
almost
game.
all of his
I
characters,
literally
except for
invested less than
Thor,
70
are
points in
almost
killing
full
MODOK,
health.
and it took me 4 turns to even daze him.
Yeah.
So it'd be really
I think you guys
interesting.
take Loki off the
Instant
table,
kill
though.
on Loki
I
with,
agree. I think the
Doomsday
play
Sphere
is to
that
throw
just
Cap into
ruined
Loki
everything.
and then start attacking Loki. If you can get Loki off the table, then I think Pat has a much better chance. Because
So
MODOK's
MODOK's
sitting at 10
throw-
power. Or
Yeah,
8 power.
He needs to die, really, doesn't
MODOK's
he?
throw is only terrain, so
Oh,
he could
he's
throw a
making my life
dumpster
so
into
hard.
Loki, which is
All
not
right.
an awful plan.
Oh, you're right.
Have MODOK
Shows
go.
how much I play MODOK. Yeah, no, I forgot his throw is only terrain.
Unless I
Yeah, same as Moore's, but he's got the ability to move characters with bow, which is why it doesn't matter as much.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of the time when you want to
Not
do stuff.
get
Okay, that's
myself
fun.
out
So
of
bowing MODOK away
bamboozle
means
range,
he's still within range
sadly.
4. Again, seeing him using those 2 templates together to check that he's getting his good positioning right. So he's looking at bowing away MODOK, but then still being able to use
So-
either of MODOK's attack into him.
MODOK is gonna go. He's got 8 power. This is super interesting what to do here.
So he's on MODOK on 8 power, and he's got a
Yeah,
lot of options as to what he can do.
So many interesting options. We're gonna go with MODOK. He is
Okay.
going to Silent Vault Loki, and we're just
So the mystical one.
yeah, you've got
Oh, yeah.
4.
I'll pay 1 for I'm a god.
So
Okay.
I am a god with his mystical defense. So, ooh, look at
Boy,
those.
only 1 block. Jesus.
Only one. That's a big hit
Okay,
too
so
for
I'm
MODOK.
on
Mhm.
4 right
Yep.
now. I can reroll 1, so I will.
That's
He's
what
going to
he-
reroll
that's what
1,
he needed.
paying 2 power,
Yes.
and if he gets a hit on this, then that's a KO'd Loki.
There,
So
there
I've
it
got
is.
5.
Yep,
So I sap 2 from you, and
You
then
do?
and it saps 2 power,
You do.
just to add
so
insult
I go
to
to 10
injury.
power.
Yep.
And you
Oof.
5.
1,
hits.
2, 5.
1
So
block.
with
No,
that
okay,
in
yes,
mind,
yes.
Oh, okay.
Roll
So he's
That's right.
I think he throws the
miscounted.
dumpster here.
That's 2 plus 1.
Seems like a good play.
This dies to dumpster at Loki.
there he is. Yeah,
No, I am a
Loki.
god here.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
the only thing
can't.
do
I
is
am a
roll.
god on dodge
Let's
rolls,
think real quick.
and he only needs 1 damage to get through.
Oh, I forgot my Zemo reroll again. Oh, I foolish.
Good to know.
Though, made no difference because I'm at
No.
10 power, so it was
Yeah.
irrelevant.
No, but literally, look at the result.
Mhm.
You got everything except.
Art needs a really good roll here.
So the Zemo reroll didn't do.
Yeah.
He's gonna block all 3.
Mhm.
So they're just saying that
Yeah,
Pat
let's,
didn't do the Zemo reroll, and they're discussing how they want to
flip,
handle
I
that.
guess.
I think Pat is.
Ooh, he
just
might
saying,
have it.
He's lost
He
out.
might have it.
Of
No,
course not.
one away.
No.
Uh,
Stays.
Before I remove him, you can drop the herb. That's probably the
That's
case.
some good play there. Rather than just taking the figure off the board, making
Is it-
sure that
is your
you
herb right? I
do
can't
all
remember this
the
one, let's put it over there.
extract dropping.
And Modok still has another action too.
Put it back where you found it. No, just whatever. Okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
cool.
So
So
I
that's down.
can see him
Yep,
throwing lots of dice
and
at
Modok
Cap,
has a
and
second
now, of
action.
course, his crits will
He
explode
shoots
because
Captain
he is
America.
off the board.
Yep, with a
Oh
fire
yes, and
bolt.
that's exactly what he
So-
wants.
Dazing Thor is another good thing, though, so I think that's what looks like what he's going for.
He now gets to crit. Very exciting.
Oh, and he rolled the
Excited
skull
about
off.
his crit. Yeah.
Reroll 3.
But with Murdoch's
Yes.
rerolls, so he's
Forgetting his
1 in 3
Zemo
to
reroll again.
Again, not having to pay the extra power there again because Loki's disappeared.
Oh boy.
Oh my goodness! Look at all those
Rerolls
skulls.
to nothing. He does 3. So he saps you for 1 and then does 2 damage. Is that right?
I block 1.
Block.
So, yep.
2 damage, yeah. So 2 damage to Cap.
Okay. He will spend 2 and he will medpack Zemo, healing him.
Medpack and Zemo.
Sure.
No, use all that power off of Modok while you can.
And he will spend 2 and he will walk away Captain America.
Big play from Modok. I mean, I feel like we all kind of saw that play from Modok coming. Getting rid of Loki definitely is going to be a big upswing for Pat.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's huge.
Oh,
It
I just remembered
now
my Zemo
also
reroll.
means
Do you
that I
mind if
think
do it now?
the
Is something
herb
else
is
has changed?
completely off the table for Art
Mm-hmm.
because he's got to spend
Yeah,
at
sure,
least
sure.
1 turn getting to it, and he can't get from where the
I know,
herb
it's
is
a good
to where the
thing.
altar is in the 2 remaining
He
turns.
does 1 more.
So
Yeah, I
that's also
I feel at this point it's almost needs to be a KO game for Art.
Yes.
And then
Yeah, because again, it's looking not very likely that he's going to be able to grab those meteors.
Modok continues his reign of terror.
He could do if he focused hard on it, but I think that plays into Pat a bit too much.
Mm-hmm.
Looking rough.
So
Very rough.
I think he
an
just
interesting
has.
thing will be how much Art tries to KO Modok. Because now it's much easier to KO Modok. He doesn't have his wild changing defense, and he's only got 4 stamina. But he's activated. And
Dr.
he may be
Norbert.
prioritizing.
Dr. Norbert is 9-0, Pat up. But it still can go either way because Pat's sitting on what 2 days characters being Thor and MODOK. I think if Art can get rid of Thor and MODOK, it really diminishes Pat's output.
So the big thing at this point is if Pat scores the herb and maintains meteors, he wins this turn.
I'm gonna go with.
I think that will be his plan. He'll be
Yep.
having that in his mind that he just wants the game to be done and beyond any possibility for him to come back. So I think Pat will definitely be having that in his thoughts. But activating MODOK first was absolutely the right thing to do.
Absolutely. I'm curious if he's going to be trying to take out Thor and Zemo with his Thor.
I
It's.
think
I mean,
what we might see is Red Skull will pop himself back to the herb.
and then move.
He hasn't used drop off yet, and we'll see Thor drop
Yeah, that's a
off
nice
Red
play.
Skull.
That's a good play. I like it.
Yeah.
Now it looks like Thor's getting just out of range of MODOK.
Um,
Now Thor is going
your
into
Thor.
Pat's Thor,
I only have 5 dice. Just shock.
but he's shocked. He's only got 5 dice, and Thor's got a Zemo reroll as long
This
as
is
Pat
where I
remembers
start
to
again.
use it, which he's
Yeah,
been
yeah, yeah.
forgetting a lot
Ooh.
recently.
Lots of
Yeah,
wilds.
wild. And 3 actually.
I will remember my Zemo reroll.
It's almost like
There
you
it
can
is.
hear me.
I
Didn't
got
help.
1, so I take 2.
And he's got the
Stagger
throw.
is true.
And staggered. So we now have Skull
I'm
and
gonna push him
Thor
into lamppost,
staggered.
The traffic light, whatever it's.
So I take 1 more.
You do.
into a nicely placed lamppost so that he can strike him again.
Removed.
That lamppost should be
Because of size one.
destroyed. Yeah.
There it goes.
Doing another. Sorry. I need. I didn't pay the 2 for. I think I did actually. Well, I was on 5 last round. So
Yeah.
yeah.
He has paid power. Yep.
You were on 5. You paid 2 and you gained 1.
Yep.
So you should be on. No,
so
5.
I'm going.
Yeah, 5. You're on
But then gaining 2, going back to 7.
Okay, yeah, they're good.
No, you started on 5.
No,
you spent 2 and gained 2. So you
Did I start on 5?
Do you want to tell them Thor should be on 7?
Maybe that was last turn.
I think I ended on 5. Maybe somebody from the Twitch. Thor should be on 7.
Yeah,
Thanks, Desert.
Yeah.
Another strike.
Yeah, I don't think he put power on Thor beginning of turn. I don't know if he did his power up.
Way better than the lightning attack.
Either way, he's definitely on 5 at the end of last turn, and then he's spending 2 for Frasgard and then gaining 2 back.
Yeah. Thor again. Yep.
Nice hit.
Makes up a little. 1 crit.
Got another throw. Ooh.
I got 1.
4, so 3 damage and a throw. Not enough.
I got 1 left.
Oh, and the throw, so.
You into Zemo.
2, no.
Thor is out for the count. Zemo takes 1.
So Thor took 2 from the first hit, plus 1, so he was on 3. Then how many did he take from that one?
Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, it's the other.
Thor took 2 damage from the first strike, didn't he? And then 1 from the throw.
So it's and then
So
4.
He was on 3.
And then
4 off that. Ouch. 4 plus 1.
And then yep.
And then the throw will KO him. Yep. Okay,
He got.
Well, that's a great.
So Thor gets removed.
That takes the drop-off play away. So Pat's now sitting on a dead tactics card.
I still have a throw left.
And just like that, you're back in the game.
Yes.
So
it's rough though. I think
is he gonna be throwing Zemo or Skull into Zemo, trying to take out Zemo?
Yeah. The priority is really gonna fuck me over, I believe. Throw Red Skull in an angle so I don't hit myself, but even hitting myself doesn't matter, I believe.
You can't hit yourself with your own 3.
When I'm throwing, so I have to pay 3 energy for this. Also, again, I didn't. Jesus, he was on 7. Then I did 4, so he would go to 10, and now I go back to 7 for the throw.
Yep. It's been spending a lot of time on 7.
So Red Skull takes 1.
So Red Skull takes 1. Zemo has to dodge again.
No, it's interesting.
And Red Skull is left on 1 health. Zemo's needs no blocks.
Zemo got a clean nothing. So
Zemo goes down.
Oh my gosh, it's all going wrong.
Yeah,
it's falling apart now.
How much power is Red Skull on?
And
Red Skull is on 5.
Yep.
Okay, so he could still be invigorating MODOK.
I think he needs to. I feel like he.
Thor's gone.
Field dressing on Zemo.
It was better when I left.
Yep, that seems strong.
It would have been better if I
Yeah,
left
and otherwise Pat's not going to use that card.
About the same. Now you have to pay a lot with Red Skull.
Well, I think I'm going to spend.
Yeah, Stick. Art could definitely win the squad wipe. It's things are going good for him right now.
So MODOK uses field dressing. Zemo has a health, and now he's going to do some charging.
Yeah, so exactly what we said. Red Skull has used field dressing on Zemo. Zemo ends up on 1 health. So just a good note there. You can play field dressing at the beginning of your activation before you choose who to activate. Now, Red Skull's in the right position to be able to do it there. So now he's got a full activation with Zemo, even though at the start of the activation he was dazed.
I think we could see some Zemo going into Panther.
Yeah, I mean, if the dice go well, Zemo doesn't have the herb anymore, which is a shame. I'm not getting that extra dice from that. But
I think Pat needs to get rid of Panther so it gets rid of the KO possibility.
And I can see a Zemo drive-by as well, where he steel rushes for the second attack to get the extra dice and also the movement away, which is going to hopefully, because it's a medium move, it's going to mean that Panther's not going to be able to retaliate that hard into Zemo, though he is only on 1 health.
Okay.
That was all right.
Thank you. Okay, he can go a long way. Sure. So
So he's positioning him so he's in range of the meteor as well. He might have a cheeky
he's going to
50% chance to
nestle
flip that back, just
between
to
Thor and Panther, basically
try and make
as
sure of it.
before, as close up as he can get.
Here, man.
Like that. That might stop a push. We'll see. We'll see in future. And he paid 2 to charge. He's paid 2 for Master Swordsman. He's got 1 power left.
So he's charged, and
I'll
Master
pay
Swordsman, so he's
1
getting
with,
full rerolls on this.
Black Panther for 6 dice.
Okay.
Panther's triggering his Vibranium, so you get 6 dice.
Hmm.
4.
My dice rolls
Well,
seem to
that's-
improve a lot.
Art's
Yeah.
dice are really really hot.
Well,
Okay, you are
they were
bleeding.
pretty awful at the beginning of the game, so
It's balancing out.
I do not have the token, so I'm going to steal 1 from your side.
So he then hits you with a 5 dice
has
strike.
emptied a bit of
Yeah,
power
sure.
on Black Panther, so he can't afford
No
to
power
spend
for extra
on
dice,
this one.
Just 4 dice.
He gets
Okay.
1
1
reroll.
block.
He got 4, so you take 3,
Yes.
And should be bleeding.
and he gets 1, 2, 3.
Easy, I did the bleed on him already.
You hear that?
Panther's already bleeding. Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because you got the wild on the
he
first
is
roll, yeah.
Done. He gets a tick.
Not quite what Pat needed, but did some
No.
good stuff.
I kind of wish
Four-
I had that
four's-
priority.
You know, not an awful. It's not wildly away
So
from the
just
average, I
Red
don't think.
Skull.
Oh yeah, especially with vibranium armor.
Yeah, and the bleed makes it interesting the choices he's going to have to make with Panther.
How cool would it be if I can remove Modok?
Yeah, I think he's trying to get rid of MODOK.
Tunnel visioning on Modok.
Well, the trouble is he's such a good cosmic configuration target. Even with only 4 damage available, so you're putting him very close to death, but just getting that extra activation out of him.
Well, I think what Cap really wants to do is go in there, shield slam Skull to throw Skull into MODOK.
Shield Slam's throw away, isn't it? So I think
Oh.
that's not going to work.
That
It may be thrown small.
Oh no,
but
just
not
thrown.
away.
Crikey, yes, it can be any direction. Yeah.
That is that's big. But
It's like
even
it's
then, it
really-
would only be 3. So
it wouldn't take out MODOK. And Pat could return beginning of 5 with another big MODOK turn.
We'll go to 12, then 15.
Yeah, I was going to say who's going to get priority. So Panther and Cap have still got to activate, and only Skull on Pat's side. Okay. So Pat.
But
if he costs
Stick
me-
is saying shield Sam's throw is only size 2. We missed that part.
Aha.
No, yeah, that's right, because
No,
you're throwing
it's throwing
Skull. Yeah,
Skull.
throwing Skull, not MODOK.
Shield Slam,
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
But that's not going to be enough to remove MODOK. He'll take at most 3.
He'll Hydra range.
Oh, but he can't throw him anyways because he dies. He'll get dazed before the throw.
Yes.
So
He could
this-
do no damage with the attack.
He could. I'm curious to see what he'll do here. He's got lots of options. He could go with Panther on the MODOK and do his explosive thing. See a power for that? He does. Kinetic Burst. And hope for the wild.
It's nearly never the right
let's go
choice.
with Captain.
Nearly always better going for Mantle, Black
Do
Panther,
a shield
because
throw
5
with Red
reroll
Skull.
is just better than 6.
I would agree with that.
Do I want to though?
It depends on how
More
daring
power.
daring
Let
Art
me
wants
read
to be.
real quick the Shield
I
Slam.
can see him
Characters
pouncing
after
and
the
attacking,
attack. Yeah, after attack with
but
shields,
then
that kind
he's
of
going to leave his Black
stops
Panther with
the
only
thing.
1 health
Let's
left.
do a shield throw
And the
into
first thing
Red
that's going to happen is then Skull's going to remove Black Panther.
Well,
Skull.
Art still has Medpack.
You've got me. I only got 1. I've only
Yeah,
got 1.
fishing for a wild.
Yes.
he did
I
not
want
get
to
the
get a
wild.
possibly.
Oh, I beg your pardon,
Yeah, yeah. So that's at least one thing. Let's do a shield slam into MODOK.
Oh, he did a ricochet over there. Or I tried doing a
Well,
shield
he's
throw.
not in range for a shield
Oh,
slam.
sorry, yeah.
No, he did a shield
Sorry,
throw
I rolled
into,
4 dice. My bad.
He
Yeah,
did. He did
so he's
shield
doing 4
throw
dice,
into
yeah.
skull.
He did say shield slam, but then he rolled 4
I
dice.
messed up there.
Yeah.
I got 1, so I take 1 damage. I'll reroll. Oh, I've only got 1 power.
Okay, and no wild for the ricochet. So Cap's ineffectively throwing shields and just pinking Modok for 1.
Makes sense. Oh.
No, and I'm not in range of Zemo anymore, so I take 1.
Yep.
That's Captain America. Are you able to play team tactic cards? I believe not, right? So I can go again?
I don't think so. Yep.
Here comes Panther for the pounce.
Panther pounce.
Yeah, the pounce could be enough to remove Modok.
I have to take risks at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Panther's gonna move.
I think, removing Modok. If he doesn't do that, then Modok's going to wreak merry havoc at the beginning of round 5.
Absolutely.
If he doesn't, it's gonna be bad. He almost has to.
Oops, sorry. The bleed should go there.
Mm-hmm.
He's easily within pounce range. And this could, if Pat rolls badly, this could just remove Modok entirely.
Yeah, that's.
He's setting up Panther, trying to get him within bodyguard range. Again, good positioning play, using the 2 stick to check that he's going to be in that bodyguard range.
He wants to pounce here.
Okay.
But it looks like he's not going to be within 2. It's going to be too far out.
So that costs him 1.
Indeed.
I have 2 physical.
And Modok goes down.
Oh,
yep, Modok.
That's nothing, so I take 3, so I am out.
All right.
Yep.
Wow.
Okay, still anybody's game, I think.
Oh, I agree.
Probably going to be.
Wow.
Do you know what I think?
Come back to you.
Pat's going to win Meteors this round.
Need 2 turns though.
There's a strong argument. He just runs away. At this point, if he has 1 character left at the end of round 6,
he still wins. Yep.
So if he splits Zemo one way and Skull the other way, can the characters he's got on the table catch them up and deal enough damage to take them down? I think that. Certainly, that would be crossing my mind as to right now. If I were Pat, the play being right, bug out. We've scored enough points. He's going to be up to 12. He's not going to be able to get to 16. I don't think.
The other question is, can he just daze them out and be okay?
Well, Black Panther's not going to be that hard now to remove. So
and then Cap.
Black Panther's just moved back into Zemo range.
Cap's only got 1 live.
That's round. You go to 12.
And Cap's only got 1 as well. Okay. So I can see Skull. Potentially Skull staggered still. No, because he's dazed, so he's going to flip, so Stagger's going to go away. Skull could, daze Cap and KO Panther. If Pat's going for... But at the same time, Zemo could steal Rush Panther, removing him, and move medium, and then move long. And I think that's going to put him...
The other thing he could be doing, he does have enough power to unleash the cube over to Thor.
I do that twice.
Or Panther.
End up, so basically this part.
And you might unleash the cube's got explosive. No, it inflicts stun on people, doesn't it? Within 1.
Stun, and it's a throw.
Oh, okay.
I am moving 8.35 twice is 16.7 inches approximately. Can I actually go that far?
I think he's doing what you said and just running away.
Yeah, he's looking at it now and going, I just need 1 character to survive. He's certainly considering it.
Thor moves 5 with medium movement plus 1.
This comes down to that conversation we had not too long ago, is when is the right time to run away and score those points?
Well, he is playing the villains, and they have lost their 2 big hitters. It seems like now is the right time to run away.
An inch less. So if my maths is correct, Zemo can double move, and no one in your team can attack him.
I don't think that's true because Thor can
I
move
didn't
and
power
throw a
up first,
hammer.
by the way.
I'm pretty sure that he'd
neither
still
did
be in range of that.
deep in the-
But
Yeah.
it's only a 4-dice
I hope
hammer,
Jacob's
and
enjoying
it's
this, and I hope I got it right.
it's
If
on
Zemo
energy
can
or
get
physical?
cover,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
energy.
I think
Yes,
No, it's
energy.
physical. It's physical.
this is
Yeah, so he
different
can
from
get his
me being
Master
able to move directly
Swordsman,
away
or is
from
that only
Thor
within 2?
and not hit
Don't play
any
enough
borders.
Zemo, clearly.
Yeah. Which is actually quite
Master
close.
Swordsman is
That might
physical
stop
only.
me. If I go at any
Yeah, but
angle,
it's if the enemy is within 2.
then
Oh
Thor
yeah.
Thor
Yep.
can get me.
And also, the truck might be in the way.
Yeah, if I hit the board edge, Thor can get me. And there is a wiggle room of a
So they had a
third
bit of a
inch.
mathematical discussion there, going if
And then
to see.
if that
Pat did a bit of maths
fails,
out loud where he was saying, okay, I know how long a long is, and I know how big a base is, and then I know how long your medium move is, and I know how big your base is. I think he can be attacked by Thor, but I don't think he can be struck by Thor, is what I think he's trying to figure out. I don't know as well if he's factoring in Panther's pounce and Panther's long move. So I think if I were to be running away, if that was my plan, I think I would be just check how much power is Zemo on.
Sorry. Zemo is on 6.
Well, he's got plenty of power then to Master Swordsman, Steel Rush away, and then he'll get one back from the Cabal ability, and then he gets to move medium and then long, and then you're just looking at Thor chasing him down. Meanwhile, Red Skull runs away to a point where only Cap can chase him down. Fittingly.
Thor has got 3 wounds left. Panther's got 2.
And although it's a
I've
little
got
bit
7 power on
anticlimactic,
Red
I think
Skull,
that's
so I can-
probably
Got
Pat's
4.
best line of play to
Yeah,
I'm
sorry,
just
stall
Pat's
out
got
for the
4
win.
left, yeah. It's got 3. I can unleash the cube twice with Red Skull.
He's just talking out his options,
I could
talking
have
about what we talked
Zemo
about with
go and
Red
just
Skull
try
having
and
lots of
chop,
power. So
chop,
he's
chop.
on, is it on 8 power, Red Skull?
This is super interesting. You have to tell me after the
It's
game.
definitely not
Yeah,
a normal game.
I'm really curious. Like Pat has some options. He can either run or try to take him out. I still think
After the game, what you think the
I
best
think
move would be there.
I think trying to run away might be his best bet.
Tell me now.
Just
No,
run
I still
directly
think
away.
you Steel Rush
question
and
is,
get away
can
from Panther
Zemo
that way.
wreck one of these
Throw
Mm.
a whole load of power at
and
trying to
make
daze him.
a Darren
He's going to
That is
frame
true.
shield it. So you
But he
get
could
6
take-
dice re-roll any against his 6 dice defense. I
True.
still think I think that's very
It's at
likely.
least-
Tell you what, let's tell
I
me
didn't
exactly how
expect
likely
to
it
go for
is.
the kill, but after that Modok, I kind of had to. I had to shift
Yep.
everything, and then the turn 2 not doing anything to Modok, and then you dazing Black Panther, and Black Panther was gonna daze, right? I kind of traded him for to force you near the objective at least, and you did exactly 3 damage, so you could move me off and then flip it. So like that's the dice have to go your way to even do that. But then the next turn, also getting Loki just was so painful.
Yeah,
Just
but
Loki
then
was
you
gonna
took out
wreck
Modok and Thor and bam.
Is this? I think it
Yeah,
sounds
they
like
had some
he might have
sweet
conceded,
spot.
and they're sort of
Thor
talking about it afterwards.
staggered Modok, and then
The
Loki
Steel
could
Rush has got a
just double Iron Gun strike.
63%
Modok
chance
is
of
gone.
KOing the Panther. I think that's
Just
something
Iron
I'd be
Gun
looking at.
strike into Modok. Yeah. But hey, there's no point. Do your turn.
No, he didn't
No, he
concede
hasn't
yet.
conceded.
Sorry,
They were
No,
just
they're
talking
just having
through
a
it.
chat about
It's
what
a
went
fun
wrong.
game. That's I'm really enjoying it.
This is a really fun game to watch. I will say
So I
it's
think
it's
I can try
Definitely.
the Red Skull.
Oh, yeah,
We'd
this
almost
is-
counted Art out, and then he
Or I
swung
can
it
try
back, and then it looks like
for
it's just
Zemo.
trickling away from him.
If Zemo takes out one of them, the other one has to deal with him, which is pretty nice for me.
hit the wrong button.
So basically, I don't trust that my double long move takes me out of range. Maybe I should trust to it. And even if it doesn't, you have a 4 dice physical strike against 3 dice with a reroll. So I have a slim chance of survival there as well.
Zemo only just flipped, doesn't he? He's got no damage on
Suboptimal.
his
So
injured
I'm
side
going
He
to
yet.
go
did
for Zemo.
not flip.
I'm going to.
No,
Oh,
he's
no,
got one
he's-
left. He got field dressing.
I'm
Oh,
going
he
to
did.
target
Right.
Thor.
So Zemo's probably going to get taken out this turn, but then he just needs to survive round 6,
with
and Pat wins.
a 4
So I
dice.
still
plus
think,
4 power
especially
to
taking
use
Panther out on the
Master
way,
Swordsman
that
and
forces
Steel
Thor
Rush.
to then
So that is 6 dice.
daze
reroll again.
him. Zemo can run away even
Yes.
more. Oh, he's saying 6 dice. That sounds like he is going for a Steel Rush against someone.
Spent
it's
3
Thor.
power.
Oof.
Ooh, big hit. Oh
So
wow.
did you roll anything?
2,
I got
4,
6
6.
successes so far.
Thor got 3.
blocks.
That's enough.
So that is enough to daze you straight out.
Yes, it is.
Daze
Looks like
is
you got the
Thor.
daze on Thor.
And because that was a Steel Rush, he's got the option of the medium move as well. But I suspect he's going to stay there. Having Daze Thor, I would stay there and take out Panther.
I can't
I-
really afford to use the thingy.
Do you think? Yeah, he just.
Because
Oh,
then
man.
Zemo is still going to be on the
Now,
board.
question is,
Turn 6. If you take out Panther, I don't
move
think
medium
Cap
block.
could shield throw
Can
Zemo, I
illustrate
suppose.
Black Panther. The next great question. So this is 6.35 plus.
So he's doing more maths to see if he can escape Black Panther.
equals
I think with Panther's pounce, I think that's not going to
14.7
happen.
approximately, because an inch isn't exactly that. You go 8.35 with a long move plus 4.35 with a leap. You have enough power for leap. Yep. Plus
No.
your range of 3 equals 15.7. So if I double run away, Black Panther could move, attack, strike.
Yeah. Has he still got enough power to Steel Rush
Strike,
again? How
and
much
you can
power is
hit me
Zemo on currently?
Zemo should have
But
3. Yep.
that is pulling
So
your
he
very
can't
way off
Steel
the
Rush
table,
and Swordmaster.
which I don't hate. Or I can just try to kill you.
Think you just go for the kill.
That certainly would be my instinct. Getting Black Panther off the board is going to have a big impact on his survival chances, generally.
Yeah, we're going to go for the cowardly play of trying to kill you. We're going to go
Okay.
So he's
Cowardly play of trying to
with the
kill him.
Steel Rush.
he's going he's
Well,
Steel
do you
rushing
mind if I
to
move the shock? Because I don't
the
run
exactly
Steel Rush.
2,
Sure.
and he's
I'm gonna position so I'm
positioning
within
so
1
that
and
he's trying to
and he
position
can't
so that
pounce me.
you can't pounce into him, so that Thor's going to block
because-
any potential pounce route.
Sure.
I quite like that positioning. That's fun because even though he's
And
dazed, Thor still
then
is on the
I'm going
board
to spend
and
2
can be collided
to
with,
just
even
Master
though he
Swordsman
takes no
strike.
damage.
I'm gonna go ahead and pay 1.
Makes sense.
Yeah, Panther's triggering his vibranium armor because he's got absolutely no reason not to.
I get to reroll this. You got 1.
One
Scoot
block.
over to the dice.
I got 5. All that maths for nothing.
Yes.
So
Yep,
you
5 big
took 4
hits
damage, I get 5
and
power.
1 block.
Yep, that's probably the game.
He removes Panther.
He doesn't have anything, so just pull him off.
Yep, Panther's gone.
Ah,
So that
He's
just
not gonna
leaves
use the bomb.
Cap versus
Yeah.
Skull.
Yeah,
I do love it
there's
when
no
you
reason
get
for you.
Cap versus Skull. It just feels good about this game. You know, Captain
So
America
go to
taking on Red Skull.
15. I do get priority back.
Mm-hmm.
So
Throw you into.
if he doesn't daze Zemo, Pat wins this game. He can just go, well, Zemo is still going to be there at the end of the game. At the end of round 6, I just win. So I don't know if Art's realised this, but he has to have any chance of winning this game. He must daze Zemo this turn.
Ooh,
So he should be sticking a 4 down from Zemo. Yeah,
kind of have to daze you.
I think he's just
You did
realised
put
that.
yourself within ricochet range, though, which is really interesting.
Zemo is on 6 power though, so
Yeah, I kind of. Sorry, I think Red
It's
Skull
not
should
going
be
to
fifth.
help him on defense.
Before we go on.
oh, you're
yeah,
right.
Sorry, I forgot.
I don't know what I was thinking.
There we go.
Yeah,
I figured.
he can do a lot on the offense. That power's not
Yeah.
unless you're standing
Did
right
he
next
gain
to him
a
and
power
attacking him
from
with physical. That's not going to help him on
Yeah,
defense.
yeah. I did power right. I just forgot that bit.
So it's a shield throw. I think
I'm
he's
gonna
got 1
do,
shield throw to try
shield
and
throw
do
into
the.
Red Skull. But
Ooh.
first off, let me read my.
If he doesn't
Sorry,
get the
let me read
ricochet
my
on this,
first-
then I
my
think
whole card
it's
again.
just game to Pat. I
I'm
don't
pretty
think
sure I
that's-
can bounce into
he needs to
Zemo,
hit a
but
wild
let me
on
be
these 4 dice.
100% sure if I get the wild.
Oh god, yeah, I can never remember how this works.
Original targets, and maybe any distance from this character. Yeah. I was 99% sure, but I just wanna.
Poor Zemo. Oh my god.
Okay.
My positioning has
I
failed
suppose he
me.
could always try again, so he's got two
It's
attempts
a
at
chance.
throwing shields at
Yeah,
Skull
I
and
kinda
potentially
need to
Oh
ricocheting
my
into
god,
Zemo.
and it's by the
But
tiniest amount
he's,
as well.
Yeah.
Amazing.
my play here would have been to move Cap
Yeah, sorry,
into within
I just
4 of
think I
Zemo
just have to go
and
fizz,
then
so shield throw, have
guarantee
to
an
get a wild
attack on him
to,
to leave
Yeah.
next jaw,
what's it called?
making sure you're getting that
I do have
attack.
the
Now this
wild,
might
but
pan out
also
for him. It's the riskier play, which has a higher upside, because if you can do damage to Skull and to
he takes no
Zemo,
damage.
that's going to be better for him in the long run.
Then versus Zemo.
Bouncing. Ooh, Jesus. Thank you, Dice Gods.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
hmm.
Zemo is dazed.
You got it.
Oh my god.
How exciting is this? It's
Fuck.
awesome.
How must the commentators be? Like,
Wow.
am I gonna kill my own Captain America? Or do I just want to do some damage? So I get to go first, so that's insane. You don't. Yeah,
Yeah, it's gonna be big with-
My cards are pretty irrelevant right now.
Hmm.
Yeah. So do I want to just? How confident is Thor?
So the
Thor's
first.
10 energy. You can do all kinds of nasty stuff.
Sorry, I dropped out for a second there. The first
Oh, you're
attack
fine.
didn't get the wild, did it?
No, it did not.
Right. Okay. He's. I don't know if he's thought this through, but yeah, Zemo has to daze, so he has to
Do
go
I
for that.
position myself
Throw it.
well?
No, he
Skull.
got Zemo out.
Or do I try to get some damage?
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he dazed
I
Zemo.
think the position
How did he do that?
I think he did actually get the wild. Now I look back.
I got the wild
So
on the first one, and it ricocheted. Gotcha.
Yeah, he
But
rolled.
that's
He
what-
rolled against Skull and Zemo. So, but the
Okay,
thing
so he
is,
must have got the wild on the first one.
So how
All right.
would you
Well,
judge
that's good
this?
then.
If
That
you
means he's still in the
go
game.
pick
That
up the
makes this
herb,
last action more interesting.
and then because you can only do one movement action.
Yeah, I
if you-
can't move, pick up the herb and move again. That's not allowed.
So even if you didn't have the herb before, you can't do second move, right? I think it's like this,
Yeah.
but I. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because it's my whole turn. I've already done a move. I'm holding the herb, therefore I can't do another. It remembers my turn.
Yeah. But just wanted to double
So
check
yeah, he's
before-
just checking
because
that he
you-
can't auto win at the end of this
Fuck
turn,
me.
but he
Wait,
can set up
wait,
to win
wait.
the end of the next turn, which might be a great way of distracting people away from Zemo. And so Skull threatens the herb, and
I think
Zemo
I
runs
I think
away.
it's too much.
I think that would be a really smart play, actually, if Skull moves onto the
Like, I
herb,
can-
draws the
but I
attention
need
of
to
Thor,
double-check.
and Zemo runs in the opposite direction,
Uh,
guaranteeing that he survives and securing Pat the win. Yeah, I like that play. That's it feels like
This
a
is a-
good villain move. It's a feint.
This is a very intense game.
We'll see if I made a mistake.
Okay, this is a weird last couple of turns of trying to do maths. So, now it's time for another trying to do maths with Red Skull.
So he's considering running away with Red Skull.
Use the power of pre-measuring to see how far apart these are. Looks like they're fractionally over 10 inches. Maybe if you angled it, they might be exactly 10, but we'll just say approximately 10.
Now Skull can move himself.
If I place myself within range 1 of the herb, then I'm 2.35 approximately towards the 10 I need to get to the vessel. Then my medium plus my base puts me approximately 6.35, which is 8.7, and I'm 1 inch away, 9.7, and I would be a third of an inch out of.
But he can move himself with the Master of the Cube. So I
Mhm.
think
Which
if
is
Pat
good to
wants to do it, he can.
So, you have
How much Skull is? How much power is Skull on?
to win the game. Let's run it.
7.
Yeah, so he's just figured out he can't reach it this turn, but he can set himself up to be able to do it next turn.
Can't place my widgets because I am correct, right? That we get to turn 6 and I have more VPs, I win. We don't keep going until 16.
Nope.
Right, that is correct, right?
So yeah, he's
Yeah, you are
he's
correct.
looking at Skull, and I think this is a feint, because I think what he's hoping Art will do is the first activation of round 6 is Thor chases after Skull, because Thor's got the best chance of dazing Skull, of KOing, getting rid of Skull.
So we move back to him.
No, he's just plain old running away. Yeah.
I can't click
Okay,
the thing
no,
because it teleports
that
up,
works
so
too.
I'm just going to unclick it and use the shadow.
Yep, sure.
So he's going to move,
Go there.
and then probably teleport
And then
himself
we use the
away
cosmic-
again.
oh, not
So
cosmic.
he's just hiding
And then we use the cosmic cube.
because yeah,
Yep.
if
Yeah, you got the game. You saw it.
Do you want to
But there was nothing
rotate
I could do.
around so we can see what's going
I
on?
like to think that Red Skull teleports into Avengers Tower, cackling maniacally, and then passes the
And
button.
it looks
Hiding
like
behind
that's
the tower.
probably gonna be.
So you will go to 15.
Yep. And then we
How
go to
much-
turn 6. Zemo flips.
Thor
What-
How
what'd you say,
much,
Jacob?
damage is
Yeah.
Skull?
Power up.
How much damage is Skull
Skull?
taken?
he's at
Yeah.
0.
Yeah.
You have it for sure. Let's
One
see
shield throw is
what
not
could
going
I
to do that.
accomplish with Thor. But then Zemo will run away.
So even if Thor takes out Zemo,
It's a good game for sure.
Yeah, it's very cool.
So if I throw you, then
What
charge behind
can
you.
Art do?
he's got to. So his only option is to remove both pieces from the game.
That's the only option I
That's
have.
the
man.
only thing he can do. The trouble is,
Give me-
whichever one he takes out first, the other one positions further away. And
Yeah.
the one who's
I think he
already
should have
further
done
away
damage
is
to Red Skull last
Skull.
turn, but then he would just
So I
move
think
somewhere
you've
here.
got to focus on Zemo. Because if you look where Skull is, he can't actually add that much
So I would end
distance.
up
to
No,
where
he's-
he already has been
Well,
put.
He's pretty much at it. So,
Um,
but do you go for
so
Zemo
I
with
think-
Thor?
Yeah,
or with Cap?
5 is also not going to be enough.
I think you think who can get a bead on
Nah,
Skull,
you got it, sir.
and he's
Wow.
Hail Marrying
Let me
here. He's
kill,
going to have to get a huge dice
Do you,
spike.
do you have time, or you want to?
Yeah, no, of course. Let's finish the game.
I think Art was about to concede, but
Yeah, but no, he wants to play out the game. That's good. It's always good to play out a game. And like I say, there's such huge variance that
Well,
dice spike might come.
Captain America could have it with 4 criticals.
But which way round would I choose to do it? I would certainly be focusing on Zemo. And
But then Zemo will
Zemo
run
hasn't
away.
taken any damage either, has he? Oh, he took a bit off a shield throw. How much? What's health
he's,
is he on?
Zemo's at
Oh no,
0.
that dazed him. Yeah,
Yeah.
He's at 0 as well. Crikey, yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
So we're
with
looking very long
Thor.
odds. Probably
Let's do a
your
strike
best
into
bet is
Zemo.
2 shield
Okay, I will
throws.
be a
With,
master
if Cap was going to do it, your best bet's 2 shield
See if I can
throws.
parry
Strike into Zemo?
Yep, physical attacks within range 2, attack or defense.
Yeah. Let's see what I get.
So Thor into Zemo.
Have a crit.
Pat did
Quick
Master
up the
Swordsman.
rerolls, 'cause you don't care about those.
He did,
Yep.
which I think
And
came as a
then
bit of a
I'll be
surprise to Art.
I got
Yeah.
2.
He's got
I also
2.
got
Oh, that's not what he needed.
Oh man.
Yeah, so if Cap were,
Yeah,
if you were to
so
go with
yeah.
Cap after Zemo and double shield
That's
throw,
not gonna
you're looking at an 8%
anything.
chance. So it's not as
Um,
small as you might think, but it's pretty small.
Also, nothing interesting to throw except for your. Yeah, I'm gonna do it again.
Okay, strike again.
Yep.
Mm.
Ah.
Yeah, and Pat
I'm not
got
even gonna
3
kill
blocks
Zemo.
already.
Nope.
So push you into the lamppost and then throw you again. Yeah, it's GG, man.
Yeah, GG.
That Modok was that thing that lost me the game. Because that
Yeah.
turn 1, you did exactly enough damage that you can
Be great to maybe
move Black Panther off and
up the volume of those guys so we can hear them a
Yeah.
bit better.
guys.
Yep. So again, thank you for watching. It's a great game. Pat won. That sneaky getaway play with Red Skull got away. It's a great game. Art played fantastic, and so did Pat. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll be posting up some more of these as we get them. There's a little longer and hard to do as much, and I can't really trim them down so much just because like we get all the commentary and there's just so much happening that you can't really trim it down without skipping major parts of the game. So sorry for the length of it, but hope you enjoyed and have a good day.